Hey, what is going on, everybody?
What's up, everybody?
I'm Ja.
And
today
I'm
I
Peter.
have Peter with me. So, welcome to the weekly live stream. Apologies, we started a little bit later. Of course, some technical difficulties, nothing surprising, right?
But we promise it's worth it.
Of course. Alright, so of course we're here today for the brand new 360 Hertz esports gaming monitor, right? And yes, it's already sitting in front of me, but before we get into that, there's tons of stuff to go through today. We're gonna test this bad boy. We're going to show you how an analyzer works, the Reflex Analyzer.
Yep.
We're going to show you some live gaming demonstration, and of course get into the features and specifications. And we even have Nvidia joining us today, so definitely do not miss out on that part. So if you have any questions for Nvidia specifically, you can also make sure to drop them in the chat when we have the talk with Lars from Nvidia. Now, something very big in today's live stream is the giveaway right here. You can win one of the limited edition gaming monitor, which is actually a colored version of our NXG253R quantum dot version, which is an excellent 1440p gaming monitor with 165 Hz refresh rate. So we have one today here in the studio as well, and I'll show you in just a minute what it's about. And of course, go to msi.com/2/insider, and the more actions you perform there, the more chances you will have at winning the one and only monitor today. So do not mistake about the quantity, because we only have one to give away. Yep. And the rest will of course still have some nice gaming codes to be distributed to you guys. So today we also have Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yep.
Well, I guess somewhere along the way of near the ending of the live stream, we will of course announce who the winner is of today's gaming monitor giveaway.
Yes.
In the meantime, we'll also draw multiple giveaways for Assassin's Creed
I see some people are confused. The Alpha Dubstep is saying, I didn't know the new monitor is going to be given away. Well, technically, yes, this is a new monitor. But it's not the 360 Hertz monitor that Ja will be talking about today. It's a special edition of the, again, what was the number?
It's the NXG254R.
There you
and
go.
then
So
the quantum dot
it's the
version.
quantum dot one. So
yes.
that's what's really important about it, because that means that the colors are just excellent.
Yeah, you can actually even do professional work on it because of the color accuracy right there. And it's not a cheap gaming monitor. We're trying to shove it up to you guys. It's a 500 euros, give or take, gaming monitor still on the market today. So do not take it lightly.
When it comes to, indeed, I think it's 4040p, correct?
Yes.
4040p. I think this is actually one of our most or more premium monitors, right?
It is definitely one of the top premium monitors that we have at the moment.
How do you enter? You go to msi.com/2/insider, the address you see on just above Ja, or just go to the link that's being spammed in the chat for at least both YouTube and Twitch. We are broadcasting on multiple channels, so you can find us on YouTube, Twitch, some multiple channels of Twitter, but that's debatable these days, because Twitter is kind of deciding whether it will continue with the Periscope channel or not. For now, I think it's still live, and on Facebook. But yeah, the best experience, and also being with the link in the chat and stuff like that, you will be most reliably be able to find it in either the YouTube or the Twitch chat. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on it, I would say go to either YouTube or Twitch. And then participate. You just perform a couple of actions, follow the instructions. The more actions you perform, the more points you get into the draw, basically. And it's a random draw at several points during the live stream. The final draw will be for the grand prize, of course. So yeah, may the luck be with you. And also, I saw somebody asking about our setup, as in, are we really at the office? Yes, we are really at the office. But we're not really sitting this close to each other. I'm superimposed digitally.
Yeah, you see, I have tiny hands right now.
No touchy. Peter. Yes, we cannot high five each other like that. Yeah. Anyway, so we are like, I don't know, 5 or 10 meters apart, something like this. So yeah, we're keeping our distance, but we are indeed physically in the same room and office at the moment.
All right. So Let's show you guys firstly about this special limited edition monitor, and then we can put this away so you guys know, what you're in for.
Oh yeah, show us what we can win.
Here we even have a tailor-made box for this one, because usually this one doesn't look like this. It's more colorful, but today we have it in a very special box.
Yeah. Normally it's like just a normal cardboard outer box, right?
Yep.
So even the
With
box
some,
is
nice
premium.
prints on it and color.
Even
But
the
of
box
course,
is premium with this one, guys.
it's more important to see what's inside.
I don't know if there's like a golden ticket inside, like Willy Wonka, that could be. So you have to be present to win. Well, we would very much like that, yes. I mean, you need to be, of course, participating in a giveaway. And, we have to contact you. So, yeah, you have to be somewhat present.
Yeah, otherwise you will not know,
Omnipresent.
You won't have the joy of being announced live as the winner when everybody is congratulating you. Okay, let me just take the parts out of the cuttings. Zip. It's a very special color
I
combination.
see multiple
we've
people
never done
asking for the
before.
link. What I can do is I can share it one time manually in the chat. Because, I mean, the bot, I think, does it every 5 or 10 minutes. But what I'll do is I'll do it one time in the chat. And then after that, the bot should definitely take over. Link to giveaway. So that one should hopefully work.
So first we have the monitor itself. Of course, you will notice it's a very outspoken color.
Wow.
So it's a little bit daring.
Yeah.
It's not your average Joe.
That looks nice. Do you want to go for detailed cam on that?
Let's show you this side. It's more interesting.
Ooh.
Here we have a very identical, well, iconic gold color, which is very, of course, similar. Well, actually the same kind of color palette as the emblem itself. So a gold and red combination, and of course there is Rgb right here.
So this one's nice.
Before I go show you a little bit more details, let me just assemble it first.
Alright guys,
Very
let us know if you
easy
have any
process.
questions about this thing. The whole thing's in red. Yep, it is. Twitch is lagging, yeah, maybe a little bit. Normally Twitch is the platform which has the least amount of latency in our experience, but could be different today. Ah, they're loving the gold accent. What a beauty. Biggest question, how much RGB for speed? All the RGB for speed.
The more RGB, the more frames you have, guys.
Yes, you know how it works.
All right, first step, very easy. Pop the footing together. No screws yet, because there's a very simple thumb screw. Just a few turns and first part is done. Next part, also very simple. You just have to align the hinges with the holes.
Is it me, or does the camera profile look a little bit too bright, like too over? It almost looks like pink to me on this one, but it could be me.
I guess
Wait.
so.
Let me try. Let me try it. Just select the other profile. Here we go.
Oh, it's a little bit difficult to see from this side.
I don't know
So
if this
did
is
it change?
Yeah, it does look different, but let me just make sure that we've got the right profile selected.
A little bit patient, guys, because we want to show you the true color of
Oh yeah. Well, you
what
could
this is.
The reason why I came up with this anyway in the first place was because I noticed that the close-up cam versus the main cam colors seemed quite different. Again, let's just switch to the detailed cam again. Here you can see. Here it's like fiery red, almost almost neon color, and here it's a bit more toned down.
So are our technical editors helping us?
We've got the questions out, but I'm just waiting for them to see if we have the right profile selected or not. Again, I'm kind of torn. Anyway, we will see. But for now, I think you can continue. Don't worry.
All right, yeah, that's fine, guys. So a very simple step here. If you watched our live streams earlier with all my monitor live stream, is very simple, of course. Like I said, 2 hinges. You just have to put them up into the holes, and then you have the monitor set up. And the holes, you'll find them very well conveniently in the little bags that comes with the monitor. So for the specifications of this monitor, of course, I already briefly told you 1440p, so it's quality HD, and it's playing at 165 Hz refresh rate with 1 millisecond response time. So very fast. And the crazy part about this monitor is that it has a very high color accuracy. So all of your AAA title games, they're going to pop off very like right away. You will see the difference. And if you enjoy some occasion professional work, that's even still well, very viable on this monitor. So if you just joined, this is what we're going to give away today. So really make sure to check out the link. Yep. And also make sure to check out the loyalty bonus, because it's going to help you big time. I
think also for this, if you want to know more about this monitor in specific, I mean, not this model with the red color scheme on the outside, but technically, I mean, and because I think on the inside it is the same monitor like the original, right, Ja?
Yes. We did all the technical specs are still the same.
Yes. So if you want to know more about that, probably maybe after the stream or something, or during the stream, you can also find a dedicated live stream that Ja did sometime last year about this the quantum dot monitor.
Yeah,
it was at the end of last year, I think, sometime.
Begin this year or at the end of last year, something like that.
But if you search then for this monitor, yeah, you will be able to find it, and you can find a whole live stream where Ja talks all about this monitor, the specs, shows the color as well, talks about the whole quantum dot thing. So yeah, there you can find more information about it. It really is an impressive monitor. And
in case you want to use this one as a floating monitor attached to an arm or a VESA mount, there you have the standard 10x10 VESA mount. Yeah. So
Merrick is asking if we can, if as a bonus to the person winning this monitor, if we all can leave our fingerprints on it as well before we send it.
It's going to be like a Hall of Fame with fingerprints.
Yeah, Hall of Shame, Hall of Dirty Fingers. We promise to clean it before we send it.
Of course.
I think that would be really the best thing to do for everybody here.
Don't worry, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So this one will go off the table for now. Now you might be wondering, okay, but what's the occasion? Why are we giving away this monitor? Why is it red and gold? What's the message here? So, we have been selling monitors for about 4 years now, and within this time frame, we have unlocked a new milestone, a new achievement, which is the amount of gaming monitors sold. You can make a guess how many that is in the 4 years time, but that is very much linked with this giveaway monitor, because there is a whole campaign behind it, and there's also, besides this, another chance for you to win another 2. Well, you're probably not going to win both of them, but there's a way to participate, and I can show you here, because we have a dedicated website in which we have explained in detail, what this whole campaign is about. So,
by the way, spoiler alert: if you were paying attention and you saw the outside of the box just now, there was a hint on there. I mean, by guessing it, you're not going to win the monitor, but it can't hurt your chances.
Just to see, how good you are at guessing.
Exactly.
Okay, not GG saying, we know it's...
Yep.
All right, then you've definitely paid attention. Now, if we switch over to this landing page right here that we have,
Yes.
you can see, indeed, it's 3 million, so that's the achievement that we have unlocked for now. And here you can find some nice milestones if you're interested to see, okay, what else did we do in the meantime, because there are quite some stuff. And everything is quite neatly lined out here.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not been that long since we started doing monitors, right? 2016.
Exactly. So we're very, very happy with all of the support you guys gave us, so that we can continue to improve. And that's why doing these kind of live streams, we're also very, very happy to hear your feedback. If you're not happy about something, tell us. Don't worry. We'll see if we hear this from many people, and then of course we can take action to see if we can improve on certain kind of stuff. So here you can see every year there's like a special model. They're mailing to the milestones, so if you're interested you can check it out here. But moreover, there are some more guides as to what has been the hot sales for last year and what were the award-winning models. For example, here we also see the 253R, of course, in front of me, which is also today's main topic. So if you're wondering about what kind of monitors are good, what has been popular, you can check it out here, no problem. And there's also some quotes from our partners regarding this milestone. And you can also read some reviews about what other people have written through our shout-out program that you can also participate. So many stuff that you can check out here if you're ever bored. Of course, after the live stream, right? Not right now. Yeah. And another way for you to also win the one of the 2 monitors that we're still giving away is through our Monitor Ambassador program. So you can, on this website, on this landing page actually, you can find all the details as to how you can participate, what you have to do, what are the terms and conditions. Then you can, just participate, because it's not going to hurt you. You're going to probably win one of the very, very, very good gaming monitors. And here you'll find all the details.
I see some questions in the chat, Ja. Snapcaller is saying, will you ever change the names on your monitors? They are insanely hard to remember, and I feel you. I mean, I'm not... Monitors, that's Ja's department. I'm graphics card, so for me it's easy. It's 38... No, wait, there's too many... No, just kidding. Anyway, but indeed, I mean, this is a topic that Ja has also covered, I think, and has also spoken to in headquarters. But it's difficult. I mean, you still want to be able to provide some sort of clarity, as in, the numbers they all represent, and the rest of the designation, they all represent some features or some specs. So that by the name itself, you can, if you know what they mean, you can actually determine what the monitor exactly is, from the size to the refresh rate to RGB, non-RGB, and all other kinds of things. But yeah, Ja, do you think they will change?
I think, funny you should ask, because I'm actually right now working on a project dedicated to this topic. Yeah. Because we, even though if more of you guys think the same, feel the same way, let us know in the chat. Definitely appreciate it, the feedback. But actually right now I'm trying to deal with this whole topic of, can we improve our naming so that it becomes more, it becomes easier for you guys to remember and to recognize. So yeah, definitely there's some merit into this whole topic.
Yeah. But so Ja's working on it, analyzing it,
unsure.
Seeing what's possible. But indeed, it's not a guarantee that it will become easier, because again, there's a function to all the naming as well. So yeah, it does need to contain some kind of information in the name itself. So yeah, with all the numbers and designations, that's one way to do it. Or you can make the name stupidly long and writing out everything in full, but I don't know if that will make people that happy, because you'll need a full paragraph for each monitor. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, so guys, definitely make sure to tune in to msat.com/insider to have a great chance of winning this monitor right here that we're going to send you, which we'll also announce later in the live stream. But now, of course, the 360 Hertz monitor, the beautiful beast sitting in front of me, the NXG253R.
This one has been sometime well, I don't want to say in the making. I don't know if it was stuck on some boat in the Suez Canal. Although if it was, I read today or yesterday that they seized the boat. So if it was on there, it's still stuck. But yeah, this one has been in development for quite some time, right?
Yep. So let me just unplug the cables for you guys so I can give you a good look around.
Let's get a detailed view of that.
Now, the first thing I have to mention is that it's going to look a bit weird because this part is of course supposed to be green.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe you know our director will even kindly disable our green screen so you can see what we mean, because this right now, of course, we're actually using a green screen, so I think you guys all know, right? So, and this, of course, is going to be
let me see.
a part that's going to be keyed away. So, yeah.
You guys can see this, right?
So you can see the green magic behind me, and here, of course, we also have the green Nvidia logo and the 360, which is also in green. So if the green screen is then turned on, it's going to look a little bit weird, but then you know, it's just some green screen magic, that's all. But this is the back side, and of course it has adjustable stand.
Yeah, we can go into the close-up camera if you want. There you go. I think this is a bit more clear, a bit more detailed.
Definitely making sure that if you're having a great gaming session, which is well, quite long, and we all know how long we can game behind the screen, right?
Yep.
Always make sure to tune this to the appropriate height and tilt, so you won't have too much pressure and too much, well, just in general more comfortable when it comes to your neck position, because I generally notice that I tend to really bow my neck, and after a few hours it's going to be a little uncomfortable. And compared to, let me pick the previous generation, we have changed the design from being quite subtle to a little bit more aggressive because of the whole 360 Hertz, right? It packs a lot more power. So here we have the backside, which is
yeah, here we go.
Which is more subtle. I mean, here we have some brushed on metal look. For the rest, it's all matte with Nvidia's G-Sync logo. And pretty much that's it. And of course, here we also have the Mystic Light Rgb strip. So this was the previous generation, the NXG253R. But besides this, there's a lot more difference, of course, the inside, the specifications, because this one was a 240 Hertz and TN panel. And we have since then jumped to, of course, this, what everybody has been waiting for quite some time, because it was announced for quite a while already. So here we have the 360 Hertz with IPS panel. Now, of course, I'll tell you a bit more details, what kind of IPS panel is in here, but right now the backside, you see the look is a bit more aggressive. We have a more outspoken dragon logo, of course, representing MSI, and the whole upper side, this way. I'm working in the mirrored way, so it's a bit different to mimic the movement. But here we see the whole upper side is kind of like the brushed metal look, which is also a bit more aggressive than the previous generation. But of course, we also still have the Rgb strip right here, which also has more tones. And yeah, again, if you're a fan of using an ARM or just phase them out in general, we also have the standard 10x10 measure right here. So you can just take this off and then use your monitor arm. This is our 5-way joystick. I think all of you are quite familiar with this already, because this one looks the same on all of our monitors. So you can click it, you can go left and right. Later I will show you what this all will activate and do, and the OSD, what you can change there, and what kind of features you can activate and deactivate. But for now, here is the 5/8 joystick.
Yeah.
If you go to the IOs here, it's pretty simple. And get this a little bit closer. All right, so I think you can see pretty well now. Here we have two HDMI 2.0s and one DisplayPort 1.4, and of course we have a headphone jack still laying around here in case you need it. The power supply goes here, and of course if you want to make use of the USBs, which is on the side right here, you're gonna make sure you plug in the USB upstream.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think that's also required, Ja, if you want to address the RGB on the rear with Mystic Light, right? You also need to connect the USB. Yeah.
Now, what's more interesting here is going to be this port, which well, of course, this monitor has a dedicated module for
there's an
Nvidia
icon there,
Reflex
yeah.
Analyzer.
What does that icon mean? It's a mouse?
Yeah. So this one is dedicated for Nvidia's Reflex Analyzer. Now, if you have, for example, here is our
I can show you. Yeah, like
here
this.
we have our Clutch GM41, which is our lightweight esports mouse. But this one is also certified for Nvidia Reflex. So in this case, you have a combination of two hardware that can really talk to each other when it comes to Reflex. And later more on this, because we even have Nvidia joining us, Lars, and he will tell you guys all about how this will work, and you can ask some technical questions. But what it comes down to is that if you want to make use of the Reflex Analyzer, you need to use this port, which was, if we go back,
Yes.
you're gonna make sure you use this port. Not this, but the first one, where it's indicated that this one is compatible with the Reflex Analyzer. So for your mouse, which also needs to be compatible with Reflex Analyzer. And of course, if you want to make use of the rest of the USBs, like I said, make sure to plug in the upstream USB cable. On the front, yeah, not that much to tell. I mean, it's still a very clean and subtle look, so there's no minimum distraction, as well as for the edges. Bezel-less design with a chin on the lower side.
I saw somebody asking about the resolution. This is, of course, 1080p, especially because if you consider 360 Hertz, that's at the moment pretty much only possible on 1080p in terms of, for example, HDMI 2.1 supports up to 1440p 240 Hertz and 4K 120 Hertz. But 1440p 360 Hertz is I think technically not possible due to the bandwidth limitation of, for example, HDMI 2.1. DisplayPort 1.4a also, I think, has a similar limitation. So that's also why you probably will not find 1440p 360 Hertz yet on the market. I don't know. I saw something about DisplayPort 2.0. Maybe that will be enough bandwidth to be able to do that. But for now, 1440p is limited to 240 Hertz as far as I know, yeah.
All right. I also see some questions coming in, which was to be expected, of course. Now, we are launching this monitor everywhere around the world right now. So depending on your own region, you might have it like by the end of this week or even next week, or maybe even a little bit later, depending on, of course, when your retailer even placed the order and stuff like that. And if they actually did place an order, because if they did, of course, they will get the goods. But I can't give you the exact date as when you will have it in your region. You have to really contact your retailer to see when they will have it. But the general plan is that they are being rolled out right now. So yeah, in the coming 2 weeks, you should definitely see it if they have it. And of course, the price. Now, this one is, well, depending on where you are, of course, we always say this, you gotta be careful because we give you the MSRP, so it's around $799. US dollars or euros, but depending on where you are, this can look different. So really just see this as a direction of where the price what the price should be. but your retailer will in the end, of course, give you the real price. Can be $799, can be lower, can be higher.
That's up to the reseller indeed.
Okay, any more questions for now maybe?
Yeah, I see a lot of questions, but also just a lot of discussion about, for example, I saw somebody asking who's going to even achieve 1440p 360 Hertz. I mean, when you're talking about competitive games, it's not that unrealistic because indeed, if you have, take Counter-Strike or Valorant, for example, they are not that graphically intensive. So if you have a powerful enough CPU that can push the frame rate and the draw calls, in games like CSGO, I think it's not unrealistic, even at 1440p or maybe even 4K, to get 300 plus FPS, or maybe even up to 500, something like that. So yeah, it can be done, but indeed in more heavy, graphically intensive games, yeah, that's going to be quite difficult to achieve. But that's why I mentioned this is a monitor really targeted at the competitive scene, because again, the major benefit of 360 Hz, besides the smoothest possible friggin' movement and the sharpest while moving fast, is also that you get the most responsive. So you get the fastest response time, which allows you, as a competitive player, to react more precisely and faster to something that you see moving on the screen. So that's also why this is really important.
Yeah, and you don't have to take our words for it, because we're going to show you this in just a bit, together with Nvidia, and later also with videos to demonstrate how this actually works.
Yes.
Now, on the back side, there was one last thing that I wanted to mention, and that is the Kensington Lock. Of course, we also have the Kensington Lock right here. So, in times when we are still free, again, free to be able to travel, to go to LAN parties, to go to a friend's house and stuff like that, or whatever. But you can always feel safe because you can lock your monitor when you're not around, especially with LAN parties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. If you guys have any questions regarding, if you want to see something specifically, let me know. But furthermore, some other specifications. Well, I already mentioned, right, this is IPS panel, so it's not TN. So we have a rapid IPS panel right here, and it has excellent viewer angles, of course, if you know anything about IPS, and of course, the color reproduction. So even if you don't play like esports games on here, you would like to play like AAA title games, the realism and the colors is going to really pop out here. Now, the monitor itself is also 25 inches, so 24.5 to be exact. And, well, actually, let me tell you one more thing, coming back to the IPS panel, because you might have heard this, but in majority of our, especially the latest editions in our gaming monitors, we all have rapid IPS. Now, this is because compared to the traditional IPS, the crystal molecules, crystal liquid molecules inside the panel, they actually rotate 4 times more fast than the traditional ones. So, and this in turn really provides you with a smoother and less motion blur experience, where the frames are going to be more accurate. So, especially for IPS and at 360 Hertz, all of this combined is all going to give you competitive advantage when it comes to, CSGO, Valorant, and all of your favorite online games.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are still associating IPS panels, because it's been like that for a long time, with indeed, they're not they're very accurate in color, and the color reproduction and also the angles are excellent. But in the past, the speed of IPS was kind of lacking, so you could get 60 FPS, but anything faster than that, you would get a lot of trailing, and indeed it wasn't very fast in terms of refresh rate and gray to gray and all that kind of stuff. But that's really what Ja was explaining just now with the fast or the rapid IPS technology. That really made it definitely competitive, and maybe even the better choice over TN and VA. Of course, depending on what you value most. But yeah, I mean, when you get the visual qualities of IPS and the angles together with the response time that it can do now, I mean, that's just it's almost a no-brainer to go for IPS.
Yeah.
It will give you just such a better experience in terms of color.
You know, the technological advancement in IPS panel has been so rapid in like even the past year. You know, it's like over are the days where you can say IPS, you know, it's too slow, I don't want it, because they are freaking responsive and fast nowadays.
Well,
so,
the ones that we are offering anyway.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, some more about the specifications. Yeah, I already mentioned the size, right? The resolution is 1080p, and for the panel we have a rapid IPS. Yeah, anything else you guys want to know, or you know, if you're wondering about it, just let me know. You know, something about the brightness. We also have 400 nits here, so very bright compared to you know, the standard 250 and 300 nits monitors. So yeah, even if you have a very bright environment in your living room or in your bedroom, you can really crank up the brightness on here and still not lose image quality and being washed out and stuff like that, because the 400 nits is going to be quite bright. And definitely make sure to tune this down at night, because you know, that's not good for your eyes if you stare at it at night, right? So you gotta be more comfortable.
You know, monitor burn-in. This can give you eye burn-in. You know, it's like if you don't turn it down, it's gonna stick to your eye. Even during the night, you can see whatever you were looking at.
Yeah, and of course for the variable sync, I don't need to mention this, right? The message should have been clear. It's G-Sync.
Yes.
So not your G-Sync compatible labeled, but really having a dedicated G-Sync module in the monitor. So this will work, you know, the best with your GPU. Well, your of course Nvidia GPU. So here, of course, you have the best compatibility, right? So you can also get the most out of it. And yeah, anything else you want to know about the specs, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to...
is saying, I couldn't tell the difference between 5 and sub 1 or less than 1 millisecond response time. Do you mean the monitor Assassinj, or do you mean like within a system, like a full system response time? Because, you know, both are quite fast, yes, and if you're not like a competitive player playing like, you know, fast-paced games, that it's possible that it's hard to find the difference. But I think especially, you know, the more fast-paced the game and the more, you know, twitchy the action, the better you'll be able to, and the more, for example, things are depending on your timing. For example, a shot. If the delay is lower, that means you'll be more likely to make a very clutch, last-minute, fast-paced shot compared to one that, you know, you have to calculate your own delay, you know, with your brain and aiming and stuff like that. And then from the moment you actually click the mouse until it appears on the screen, the shorter that time, the better your chance of it actually registering and, you know, winning.
All right, I saw somebody asking regarding, is there blue light protection? Well, there is a setting that you can use to tune down blue light. So yeah, there is.
Part of the software, right?
Yeah, in the OSD. The screen size, oh, I guess you might have missed this, but the screen size is 24 by 5 or 24.5, so 25 inches.
Yeah.
Anything else?
A misfit was already saying you can usually tell the size of a monitor by looking for an equivalent number in the model name. For example, this has a 25 in it, so it's most likely 25 inches. Indeed, the first numbers in our monitor name, the first two numbers, usually equal its size in inches. So in this case, NXG253 or 253. So the first two numbers, that's 25 inches. If, for example, we have a MPG275, 27, that means probably 27 inches. So, indeed, that's a very easy way of determining the size of a monitor without reading too much into it.
Exactly. Now, maybe before I move on to the next part, we can already draw today's first winner, which is going to be Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. By the way, remember this name for when we have Lars on the stream, Ja.
Which one?
I've seen. I don't know if it's the same person asking this or if multiple persons are just now repeating the same question. Does Nvidia Reflex work on a full AMD system?
That's a very difficult question. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So that's why we're having somebody from Nvidia on later, so he can provide some context. But I'm guessing the answer will be no. Well, that depends on how much. If you have an AMD CPU and an AMD motherboard and an Nvidia graphics card, then the answer would be yes. So it really depends on how much of your system is AMD. Anyway, yes, the first winner. Let's do that.
And yes, Valerie, we indeed have the anti-flicker technology in the panel. With majority of our gaming monitors, we always have this implemented, so you don't even have to bother with it. So no worries there.
All right, so while I draw the first winner of the day, I also want to draw your attention to the giveaway itself. You can still participate. We've got plenty of game codes to give away, and at the very end of the stream, the grand prize being the monitor, a 3 million limited edition monitor. Yeah, the more actions you perform, you can go to msi.com/2/insider, just over Ja's shoulder right there, or go on to the direct link that's being posted in the chat every couple of minutes by our bot. If you don't see the message, the link, make sure you follow our stream on either YouTube or Twitch, because that's where the chat is most reliable, and the bot also. So you'll have the best chance of seeing the link. Perform a couple of actions. Those will give you, each action you perform will give you a few points, which then is entered into the draw every time, and you'll have a chance to win. For now, we have our first winner, and I think his name is Zenpai.
All
so
right,
Zenpai, congratulations. You are the first
Congratulations.
winner. You win a Valhalla, an Assassin's Creed Valhalla game key. We will send that out to you in the coming days, and we hope you will have fun with it.
Yeah, so keep an eye on your inbox and have fun with it. Congratulations. And to the rest of you guys, still more to come, so make sure to go to mset.com/2/insider. Yes. And also make sure to check out the loyalty bonus if you're a reoccurring viewer.
Ooh, I see some people, Merrick is saying, anyone facing issues with the loyalty bonus being resetted? I hope not, but if more people, because I saw somebody earlier in the stream also saying like, what's up with it, because I've been watching the stream for a long time, but I can't get past a certain threshold of loyalty bonus. We'll look into that, so thank you, and let us know if more people are having issues with it, then we will definitely look into it. Could be. We're not seeing anything weird on our end, but again, I didn't look into that much detail, so, and I won't be able to do it during the stream, but yeah, for the next stream, we will definitely look into it to see if there's any issues with it. If there is, very sorry about it, but that does mean that there's a bit more of a level playing field in terms of who can win a monitor, so even first-time viewers can have a more equal chance of winning.
Okie dokie. Now, I have placed another monitor on the table to show you guys the size difference, in case you're wondering, should I get a 27-inch or should I get a 25-inch? Because, nowadays you do see a lot of people also opting for the 27-inch, but of course it's all personal preference. Now, this one is 27-inch and this is our just 274. QRF-QD, which is actually the original version of today's
giveaway.
Red Hot Chili Pepper to be given away with the gold tint. So they're basically the same model, but this one, of course, marking the special edition. Now, so you can see, if you're looking for side differences, they don't differ that much, personally, I think. So this is the height, as you can see, and if I place them right behind each other, you will also see in width how much difference there is.
You need to put them on the same height though at the bottom, I think.
Yeah. Let me adjust this. Ooh. All right.
Yeah, the camera perspective might be messing with this just a little bit.
Yeah, with this perspective, it should be like this.
Yeah. So the one at the front is 25-inch, and the one that Ja is now holding should be 27.
Right now, they're literally kissing each other because I pushed them together.
I don't know if they're making babies, but if they are, I don't know what they would look like. I hope they get the Hertz of the front, the first one, and the QD of the rear one.
Yep.
But I don't know what the DNA will do.
Let me connect the cables in the USB ports. Maybe that'll help the process. Oof. But I guess so.
Let's not go into too much detail on how monitors are made, little baby monitors.
All right. So yeah, that's
people in the chat, squeaky noises.
All right, guys, let's keep it clean, right?
This is a family show, guys. Family show. Should also be all right for kids.
So yeah, this is 27-inch for you guys, and I see somebody saying, well, the 25-inch looks much bulkier than the 27-inch. Well, that's true, but that is also because this 25-inch has so much more special features packed into it, which actually requires dedicated hardware modules, you know, from Nvidia. So like the G-Sync module and the analyzer. So yeah, of course, then they're going to be simpler than a 27-inch, which don't have this kind of technology in it.
Yeah.
So that is the reason.
Gotta have some space for it, but at least it's not like CRT booty.
I remember the days when I was gaming behind CRT.
I think you must have used a lot of CRT monitors, because how else would you get so, you know, ripped? Because you can do like weightlifting with CRT monitors back in the day.
You know, I have so many samples,
so
many. I have the Asus TI-5 underneath the table.
Yeah, exactly.
They're heavy stuff to carry around all the time.
Do a drop test.
All right, here it comes, guys.
Shall we do that with the one we're giving away or not? Let's have a vote. No, come on. Maybe, I mean, maybe in an upcoming monitor. You did have, like, oh, when was that? A long time ago. We had a really outlandish story of somebody, one of these monitors stopping a bullet in the US, I think. Yeah. And we were planning to have like a firearm in the studio and shoot one, but I don't think it's allowed here. We're in the Netherlands, so firearms are kind of banned, and you know, you're not allowed to have any. Unless you have a license, but even then, don't think you're allowed to shoot one in the office. But yeah, I mean, a drop test. You know, Mike has shattered a tempered glass panel last year. I don't know. Maybe we need to find out what, you know, some of these monitors, how much they can take. But I don't know. I mean, why would you do a drop test? I don't know. For any of you guys viewing, let us know. I mean, is a drop test a thing that you think is necessary? Do you ever accidentally drop your monitor?
I don't know. Maybe it's a thing that we missed out on.
Yeah.
Could be. I mean, like, the internet nowadays
maybe we need to do. Okay, so
a
realistic scenario could be a punch test. If you are really angry, raging.
Generally, that's what happens. Right? It's either the keyboard or the monitor.
Yeah. What happens if you how hard can you punch the monitor before it damages? No, honestly, just don't do it.
Let's go for another day.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's see if we can do something about it. But anyway.
Yes, and okay, guys. So besides, just a little bit summary, besides the specifications and features that we mentioned, of course, there's a tons of Nvidia features in there as well. And you know, what do we have here? We have, of course, Nvidia G-Sync. We have the Reflex Analyzer. We have Nvidia's Esports Mode. We have Nvidia's ultra low motion blur. Everything really, you know, working with each other towards a big advantage for you over the enemy when it comes to competitive play. Now, I also mentioned Esports Mode. Well, this is Nvidia's way of how they have handcrafted, tuned up setting, which is a preset for games like CSGO, for Valorant, for Rainbow Six Siege, where they have even improved the latency more by turning off backlight, variable backlight, and also tuning up dark areas, so the black levels and gamma levels, so you can have the utmost visibility whenever there's a dark situation without having to get the entire image washed out. So tons of feature in here, and I think in just a minute, we're going to invite Lars. So before that, if you guys have any questions for us, make sure to drop them in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to introduce Lars in just a minute, so he can tell you guys all about it in details.
I'm sorry, Ja, but I seem to have sparked something. A lot of people want to see you punch a monitor. But if you want to make it really...
idea how expensive the monitors are laying around here.
I have a different proposal, which may be more of a test of your fist than the monitor itself.
Really?
Punching a CRT monitor.
If you get me a boxing glove, I'm happily happily cooperate.
I was gonna say. But yeah, other than that, no. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, what would be the AMD FreeSync equivalent? Yeah, that would be G-Sync, neon synthesis. Let's see. Yeah, we did mention the price indeed, but again, this really depends on your region, your VAT, even your reseller. Do you sell any monitors that are already calibrated when you purchase them? All of them are calibrated, I would say. Ja, maybe you know more information about this.
Sorry, I didn't.
The question was, do you sell any monitors that are already calibrated when you purchase them? To a degree, all of them are, well, not just, all of them are calibrated from the factory. That doesn't mean that all of them are perfectly tuned, because then you would have to calibrate every single one, because each panel can have very slight variations. Overall, usually they're quite consistent. But yeah, I mean, if you really have to work on color accurate applications, like for, I don't know, print, visual design, graphic design for print, for example, you need the most accurate representation of color or reproduction, then probably you will have access to tools to make sure that your calibration is on point. And so, yeah, but most of our monitors have pretty good or pretty decent, at least, calibration from the factory. I think media like Hardware Unboxed do a really good job at analyzing this as well, and they've, I think, a lot of times commended us for having pretty good calibration out of the box.
Yeah, and speaking of this, especially for
the one we're giving away, the QD.
This one.
Yep, that one was exceptionally good as well. Yeah, but I think, you know, the fact that it has quantum dot helps out there as well. Does it tilt 360 degree or 180 degree? I don't know which one you mean, Shaggy. But in general, the monitors that tilt, they can tilt usually 180 degrees either way. So basically just turning them, you know, sideways.
Yeah, you can actually, if you count both sides, you have 360, so 180 on both sides.
Yeah, but if you want to really turn it around, you know, remember it still has cables attached, so that's going to be a bit difficult.
Okay.
Is the plushie for sale? No. Unfortunately.
We seem to get a question like every live stream.
Yeah, I know. People really
I think
love...
next time we should just like have a little sign in front of Lucky saying, "I'm not for sale."
Yeah, I mean...
I'm special.
Exactly. Well, we only have one, to be fair, so we don't want to give it away. Otherwise, we would be without Lucky.
Okay, I think we can move on.
Yeah, sure.
Question. So, yeah, now we're going to introduce to you guys Lars Weinand from Nvidia. He kindly agreed to share his time with us in this live stream to get into more details regarding some of the great Nvidia features like Reflex Analyzer, and also take away some misconceptions. So if you have questions for him, make sure to pay attention to what he has to say. You'll definitely learn a lot. And okay, we'll see if he is ready to start the talk.
Yeah, we can see. Lars, are you there? Hello?
Oh, would help if
can you
use
hear me?
my
Yes.
earphones.
Yes, I've got the earphones also connected. Jazz now just putting them in. Hello, Lars.
Yeah,
Hey, Lars.
hey, everyone.
Thank you kindly for joining the stream.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome.
So,
Always happy to be here.
yeah. All right, so Ja, take it away.
Yeah. So first of all, guys in the chat, guys, give Lars a good hard welcome. And yeah, Lars, I think for for the viewers who doesn't know you or who don't know you, maybe you can give a short introduction of what you do at Nvidia, some background.
Yeah, I'm working for almost 14 years now for Nvidia. My role is a technical product manager for GeForce in Europe. So, or we call it also tech marketing. So I'm pretty much the tech guy when it comes to GeForce products, G-Sync products, trainings internally, demos, sales, marketing, PR, trainings, and that's pretty much my work area. As you can see, I'm working from my home office.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, were people asking, is that a Star Wars theme behind Lars?
Yes, of course. And of course, my normal office is a bit, we are all working from home, still COVID related right now at Nvidia. So including my funny haircut, it's all COVID related, but yeah, we make it work. And really excited to be with you guys today.
Cool, thanks.
Awesome. We see the chat is already going on. You know, of course, there are always some people asking, you know, can we have a GPU? But I think we can already definitively say, like, we don't have any GPUs available to be given away, right? Not even from your side, Lars. So let's get that out of the way.
Yeah. So I'm not a sales guy. So all
exactly,
I know
guys.
is we're
yeah, maybe another day,
producing
not today.
as much as we can. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And I know the situation is really weird, but it's not only GPUs, it's pretty much everything consumer electronics related.
Yep.
Over Christmas, I wanted to buy a piano and I had to buy one in Sweden because that was the only e-piano I was able to get in time.
Damn.
And so the whole situation is just weird.
It is, yeah. There were people saying in the chat that they bet you have a RTX 4090 there.
Yeah, all those rumors.
It was worth a shot.
1st of April is over.
It was worth a shot, you know. All right, but yeah, I mean, it is a ridiculous situation. I think we all hope, everybody hopes that it will improve soon, and you know, everybody can get the GPU they want. So, but
absolutely.
Up until that time, there's all we can do is just, you know, produce them as fast as we can, and that's exactly what you're doing, and we are as well. So, all right.
Of course, we have tons of great NVIDIA features right now, of course, in the 360 Hertz monitor.
Yes.
And we'll try to go through them. I think Lars have some, quite some good stuff prepared for you guys. So, Lars, where do you want to start?
Yeah, just give a quick introduction so we can show
it's stuck
pretty
again.
much
Let me redo it.
the first slide that I prepared.
There it is.
And another one.
System latency terminology.
Yes. That's it. So pretty much 360 Hertz display, that's obviously a very interesting display for esports gamers. It's really, really fast. It can display up to 360 FPS. And all perfectly synced with G-Sync. And the whole idea is, of course, to reduce system latency. And I'm talking a little bit about system latency in general, because we have the Reflex umbrella for the products. We have the analyzer, the Reflex Analyzer in the display here. But we also have Reflex as a feature for software for all GPUs, not only Ampere, that's all for Turing and even accessible for Pascal GPUs now. But I need to explain a little bit what it means. So the latency in general is the time it takes from when you click your mouse and everything is processed by the game, given to the driver, transferred to the GPU, and the GPU then outputs it to the display, and the display displays the rendered frame. And all of this takes time. Every step in between takes time. So this is a simplification pretty much of what we call system latency. In reality, it's much, much more than this. So every mouse has a different latency. It depends on the mouse, on the hardware, on the driver, on the USB driver of your motherboard as well. Then it goes to the CPU and so on. The game, Windows, all of it has an influence. So the problem you have as a gamer is what you see is already old. It already happened a couple of milliseconds ago. And in an esports game, when you have an opponent and you're aiming and you click the mouse, you can only react to what you see, right? No matter how good you are, even if you have the best reaction ever, you can only react to what you see. So the system latency from click to display, that really matters. If it is 80 milliseconds, you can only react after 80 milliseconds, no matter how good you are. That's where your reaction starts. If it is 40, you can already react 40 milliseconds earlier. and that makes you a better gamer, more competitive. So all of this really matters, and it has a huge influence. I mean, one thing you can say is the faster your GPU is and the faster your display is, the better or the lower the latency is. Because if you render at a higher frame rate, an example, 60 FPS, that's 16 milliseconds. If you already render at 120 FPS, that's only 80 milliseconds. But that's only the rendering latency that you get from the GPU and the driver that you can accelerate. You can also do additional stuff in the game. And this is where Reflex comes in. So if you can start the little animation, the first one, then I can explain a little bit what that means and what Nvidia Reflex is.
All right, let's see.
1 second. Here we go. Yes, the render queue.
The render queue.
Yeah, somebody in the chat was actually saying, well, how about we get rid of render queue?
Can we remove the render
good
queue?
notes for it.
Exactly. I mean, we have a lot of stuff in already for a longer time that is Nvidia ultra low latency, or called null, which is trying to reduce the render queue a little bit on the hardware side, on the driver. Here you have two examples. So it's a video that's running on the upper case. We have a case where you're fully GPU bound, meaning your GPU is running at 100%. It can't go any faster, and the GPU becomes a bottleneck. If that happens, your render queue goes full, and that is causing a delay. You have a very good frame rate. So you can see here you have 66 to 68 FPS.
Let me just restart it. Yeah, there we go.
So, which is pretty high, but your latency is already, it's pretty bad. It's 88.6 milliseconds. And here it's like a traffic jam, right? It just piles up, and it takes time to just address it. And even if you reduce the render queue to have less frames in the render queue, it's still a hiccup. So what Nvidia Reflex does is it avoids any render queue at all. It syncs the CPU or the game together with the Nvidia driver to run the GPU just on the edge of 100% GPU load. And you can see the FPS is a little bit lower. Of course, we don't want the GPU fully utilized because then you have a bottleneck. And the result is we get only 50 milliseconds of latency. And on the same GPU, and all what's needed is Nvidia Reflex to do its work. You can think of this as a frame rate limiter in the game. So if you limit your frame rate in the game, you ensure your GPU is not overloaded, meaning it's not at 100%.
Yeah.
The problem with an in-game frame rate limiter is you can only put it to a certain value. So let's say you put it to 60 FPS. Yeah, that's fine. But 60 FPS, if you look down to the floor or to a wall or change the scene at a different level, the GPU limitation might be 80 FPS. So you're wasting 20 FPS, and that causes additional latency.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the magic of Reflex pretty much is you can think of it as a very smart in-game frame rate limiter that just makes sure that your CPU and GPU are fully synced all the time for every scene. And that's pretty much the reason why for a Reflex-enabled game, you need that in-game integration. Otherwise, the game could not communicate with the driver and just adjust that frame rate limiter in the best term possible. So that's pretty much the reason why you need in-game support for Nvidia Reflex to work. Yep. Otherwise, you only have the external driver module that you can do, but you don't get too much out of it. When you show the next slide, that is a test from Battle Nonsense. They have a really in-depth articles on how system latency behaves, how G-Sync behaves, and very techy, very geeky. But here you can see pretty much, they did the comparison in Overwatch when you have pretty much, when you're GPU bound, you have these 88 milliseconds of system latency. But here you can see as well on the chart, you have a variation from 65 to 120 because system latency is never constant. Your Windows system is doing stuff, so background scene, the game is doing stuff, and it always varies. So there's a huge amount of variation. In the middle, they have set an in-game frame rate limiter, in this case 60, and you see the latency goes down already, but you're stuck at a certain frame rate, and the variation is still much higher in general on values. If you have Reflex on, you get a better frame rate. It is fully adaptive to your scene, and the variation, which are the yellow bars here, that show you where the most of the time where the variation is, it's much tighter. So in the end, with Reflex, you don't need to struggle around with setting a frame rate limiter. I mean, you can do that without Reflex. So if you have a game that doesn't have Reflex and you're GPU bound, just play around with the in-game frame rate limiter to optimize your latency. But it's a lot of try and error. And with Reflex, you just turn it on and it does all the work for you.
And it gives you a much more consistent experience then.
Yes. It's really made to work easy. And the beauty of it is, because the driver knows exactly how busy the GPU is, it can tell the game exactly how many frames it can handle right now. And this is why you're always on the edge to GPU boundness, and but you don't go above, because if you go above, you get this traffic jam of frames, and that means additional latency. And even if the frame rate is better, and think, yeah, I have more FPS, I have a lower latency, but in this case, no. Of course, this is only when you're GPU bound. If you're not GPU bound, then it's a different situation. But we all know we crank up everything in a game usually to play it, or we play at very high frame rates. Yeah. This when you have a 360 Hertz display and you want to crank it up, you want to have a fast GPU to feed that display, and you can even in 1080p, you can end up being GPU bound, depending on the game and the application and the setting. So Reflex makes it really easy to do that.
So is this also a form of just-in-time rendering? Because I know that term, I've heard that before.
It's kind of just-in-time rendering, because you avoid the render queue. The difference is that we're now working in combination with the driver. Yeah. So an application itself couldn't do that because it doesn't have access to all the data in the driver on the GPU side. But with this combination with Reflex opening up for our side and communicating with the game directly, that is what it makes it happen.
And you mentioned communicating with the game, so that also means that the game itself needs to support this feature, right? If some games don't have it, then unfortunately they cannot take advantage of this. Luckily, a lot of games, especially some of the competitive games as we see, Valorant and Overwatch, for example, they already support it. What about
when you show the next slide?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But what about games, for example, like I know Ja and myself, we also play Counter-Strike, for example. Is there, do you think, a plan or a path that more games will be included in the future?
I can't tell about unannounced games yet, because it's also not our IP. It's always hard, especially when we talk for third parties, but we're talking to a lot of companies and game developers right now. And the interest is huge, because they want, especially for competitive games, because they are also competing with other game titles, right? And if you have a game that has more latency, it's not so much fun to play. Because you're more competitive, especially when you have competitive players which are really, really good. They want an instant response from the game to react on. And if they have to suffer from latency, they don't really like that. And of course, we have the SDK, so people can look into this, integrate it into their games. So there's nothing special or shady going on why you need the in-game integration. It's just a technical reason. You need to integrate it into the game for this communication. Otherwise, you couldn't achieve that. So there has to be something done from the game developer to make this happen. And the list is growing. Here you have the example on Rainbow Six Siege and on Overwatch. And here you can also see the example. The slower your GPU is, the easier you get GPU bound, obviously, because the GPU is slower. So the benefit of Reflex in Overwatch, an example, is much higher on a 1616 Super than it is on a GTX 3080. Because the 3080 is so fast already. And as we said in the beginning, if you have higher FPS, the render time is already shorter. So the benefit also becomes shorter. You still have a benefit, but it's smaller. And so That's the good news. If you already have an Nvidia GPU, an older GPU, a 1060, you can use Reflex right away and get the benefit of this. And this works with any display, any Nvidia GPU. If the game supports it, turn it on, give it a try.
So I have a couple of very specific questions. I think it's interesting indeed, because you mentioned already there is the null, the ultra low latency mode, and there is Reflex. So I'm getting questions, people saying, should I open the low latency mode when I turn on the Reflex in the game? Or are they mutually exclusive? You either turn on null or Reflex.
Yeah, I mean, if Reflex is supported, it will pretty much override the null setting from the driver side. I mean, you can enable it, but in the end, it doesn't really matter because the render queue isn't filled up. So you can shorten the render queue, but the result will be the same. So in this case, it would just override the setting. Null is still important for games that don't support Reflex yet, but you won't get such a big improvement out of it because you shut the render queue. But you can try combining it with a manual frame rate limiter in your game. So you can even try Riva Tuner or MSI Afterburner to just limit your frame rate in a certain game and play around and then see if it is more responsive, or if you're lucky and have a display with a Nvidia Reflex Latency Analyzer, you can even measure the latency, but we're getting to that.
And I also have another question. Marek was asking, Nvidia Reflex is bound to the game devs, right? And then he adds another question, which I think, it's not end user controllable, right? To an extent, I think you still need to, if a game supports it, I think it's an option in the settings of the game itself, which you can enable or disable. So you can check to make sure, because I don't think it's enabled by default, even if your hardware supports it. So probably I think you still need to enable it yourself.
Yeah, that's up to the game developer, but usually it's not enabled by default. I mean, you have two options with Reflex, that is Reflex On, and the other is Reflex plus Boost. And what this does, it does a small boost, does a small GPU overclocking, and that increases your FPS by a little bit because you're losing a little bit, a small amount, like you saw before, from 68 to 64 FPS. And if you enable boost, you get a few FPS back by overclocking the GPU. So you can, but it's up to you to decide. It's not a super high overclock, but that gives you some back. So you can set it in the game. If you don't like it, disable it, and you just play normally.
Also, just a little clarification, if you're talking about the ultra low latency option, that is something you need to enable in the Nvidia drivers, if I'm correct. So that's not within the game, but Reflex, it cannot be enabled in the driver. That's done in the game setting. So just to clarify for anybody wondering, that's a difference between those two. I think that's okay. I just saw two of these questions which I thought were good to address, made things a bit more clear maybe. So continue.
Yeah, if you go to the next slide, you can see there's even more to Reflex. So every game has a different set of features in Reflex that is being supported. So here's a full list of currently supported games with Reflex. A Ghost Runner was just added to that, but you can see, of course, you have the latency mode, low latency mode Reflex, you have the boost mode. So you have the UI, so that some games where you can just pick it. In Destiny 2, you don't have that in the UI. And then you have some features like in-game latency stats. That is very nice because it shows when you're using GeForce Experience, you can enable this, and it shows you on with an overlay some latency statistics on the fly, working with GeForce Experience that is enabled. And then, of course, you have, which we're coming later to now to the analyzer, we have the Reflex Latency Analyzer Flash Indicator. It's a beautiful word. And what it pretty much does is, I mean, we're getting to that in a bit, but when you measure latency on your display with the display here, you have a small a square that you put over a certain area on your screen, and usually it's your weapon, your muzzle flash, that you want to detect. So when you click the mouse, you fire your weapon. When you fire your weapon, usually you get an animation of a big fire plume that's coming out of your gun in the front. And it's a change of luminance. And the analyzer module detects the change in luminance in that area. And as soon as it detects it, it can measure the time it takes from clicking your mouse to the luminance change. And that is pretty much your latency. So how long does it take when I click the mouse button to the weapon to fire?
Yeah.
And that can be a bit tricky because some games have animations for the muzzle flash. So it takes already 3 or 4 frames before you even see an animation change on your weapon in the game. Or you have an X. On an X, you have no fire, you have no luminance change.
Yeah.
So how do you detect this? So when you have this flash indicator, it just displays a small box with a white color that it blinks up, where you can just then adjust your flash analyzer square over. So pretty much in the end, the moment the game detects the shoot, it just shows a small white square, and you can put your analyzer above that, and that makes it really easy to measure the latency.
I think Ja will actually demonstrate this later because we have the monitor and everything.
Yeah,
So indeed,
exactly.
we will show how to set up and basically how this works. But it is very interesting indeed.
Yeah, so not every game has it. And I mean, the next video can show a little bit the difference of where we have in slow motion, but we show you what it means to have a difference in latency. Yeah. So if you could play that video.
Yes. So this is for the benefits in Overwatch.
Yeah. So it's a video that we have on YouTube as well. So, but it just, of course, this is a slow motion, but it shows you how long, if you have 81 milliseconds, and in comparison, of course, with a slow motion, but you can get the idea how long it takes, what the difference is between 80, 42, and 27. And that works, of course, in combination with a 360 Hertz display. Because one thing that is important here, so you can only react to what you see. Of course, it's not holding before it. You could be, as a gamer, if you know your system, you hold a little bit before it. But if you just click it, when you see that the opponent is at your crosshair, then pretty much you miss, right? And this is because of the higher latency. Lower latency in the middle already helps. But the 360 Hertz display, it also displays much more frames per second to your eye. And this means you can see the opponent earlier. As you can see here with a 60 Hertz display, just by the delay, it's just mathematics. It takes so much time more for every frame to appear. It means your reaction is slower. So even if your latency is better, like in the middle, you still need a very fast screen to really benefit from all of it. And this is the secret why professional esports gamers, they are using these displays. They are taking every little bit of advantage that they can be getting, because if you see your opponent earlier, you react earlier and you make the shot.
Because it's all about anticipation indeed. I mean, there's always human delay that you have to take into account, where you see something and then, you know, of course you need to interpret it. Oh, wait, this is an enemy, I need to shoot, click. So that process, it's like your internal system latency, as I think is a good way to call it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you play, you have the situation when you go around a corner and you see another guy in a game and you click the mouse and suddenly you're dead. And you don't know how could he be faster than I am? And this is really, if he has a better system with a lower latency, a higher refresh display, he sees you earlier and he can react earlier. Even if you think, I cannot react faster, what's wrong? Because your human reaction is top notch, but you can only react to what you see. Exactly. And this is the magic of these esports displays. This is why you need them. And if you're into this, of course.
Yes.
So
if you're really competitive, this is how you get the edge.
Definitely, and I think especially with esports games where the time to kill is like so small, like so low, right? Yes. It goes really fast, and you know, going into this also, you know, when you talk about like peaker's advantage, right? It's when you have like such a low latency and you have like a 306 Hertz display, the peaker advantage when it's like against you is going to be much lower, because you have a bigger advantage when it comes to the peaker, because you have lower latency and you can see them, well, actually as soon as they see you, instead of when the peaker sees you, it's going to be faster than when you see him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all that plays a role. There's so many situations, and you think of, I have a fast system, I have so and so many FPS, I don't have to worry. But if you really want to improve this, and give you an idea of why you might being fragged all the time. And you think, is it me? What's wrong with me? But it could be likely it's just a latency thing. I mean, it's a human thing. You can only react to what you see. So working on the display side, I mean, it has to work on all sides. You need a fast GPU, you need a fast display, and you need to optimize the latency in the game. If you can't do it through Reflex, which makes it easy, you can work with settings to avoid GPU boundness, to ensure you're not GPU bound, or you set a frame rate limiter. That also helps. And these are all the tricks pretty much that professional esports gamers are already doing for a long time. We just make them much easier to access to a wider audience. And but it's also, I mean, getting into that with the analyzer later, it's like, why do you need that? I mean, if you don't, normally you don't know what your latency is, you can only feel it. So you do some changes. Does it feel better?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really measure it.
Difficult,
right?
Yeah, you gotta feel it.
Just get a feeling like it's a 10 milliseconds better. Can you feel that?
Yeah.
Maybe not. And with the analyzer, here with this display, this is why we put it in for the professionals or for the geeks who just want to optimize for their game. You can test it out. You can change the settings in the game. If I change my texture setting, if I change another setting, how does the latency react, right? Is it getting better? Is it not getting better? And this way you can optimize it. And for esports professionals going to tournaments, if those displays are on stage, they can really set it up for themselves. If they have different systems, they can go to it, they can test it if it's running as expected. So all of this makes it really, really nice to use. So this is why we put that in with the analyzer. Of course, for press, they want to test the latency in different games and do comparisons. But for esports gamers, usually you focus on your favorite game, and then you can start optimizing. Play with the settings, take a different mouse, because it shows you how much your mouse latency is. It might be too high. Every mouse has a different latency, and it makes sense to have to go for a better mouse, right? And so all of this really matters. And you can see in the next slide where we have let some esports professional play with different refresh rates and at different latencies. And just alone from the display, you can see that this is a hit rate that they achieved. So they are really good players, professionals. And so when going from 60 Hertz to 120 Hertz, already getting a 28% improvement, going to 40 is another improvement, and going to 360 is an improvement on top. It doesn't mean automatically that when you buy a 360 Hertz display, you're getting 37% better results.
No.
I mean, these are professionals.
Yes.
And we always compare it to, if you see on the Olympics, it's the sports the guys, the athletes, they aim for every millisecond that they can get an advantage over another one. If it's a different shoe, if it's whatnot, how they bind their shoes and whatnot, it's every little advantage counts. So having here another 4% difference, 4% is quite big for a professional athlete. And we had a funny comparison in our office where we set up Counter-Strike, and we used a training mission where you snipe down an alley and there's an opponent just jumping before your sniper.
Yeah.
And we had this on two systems, and one of the system was running with a slow GPU and 60 Hertz, and the other system on a faster GPU and 360 Hertz. And just let people, so the guy is a training mission, the guy jumps over all the time, and you snipe down, and you only have what
You have a
have to
small
do
window
is
between the
click.
doors. I think it's dust to from T-spawn, if you know the game, from T-spawn to CT spawn, basically, in the middle.
And it's funny because pretty much I mean, we had some really good guys who got one shot on the 60 Hertz, who had one hit, because then you need to predict, because I
was going to say, is it then more luck at that point that, you know?
Yeah, because the bad part is it's random when the guy appears, so you can't make a pattern on when the guy appears.
Yeah.
But he was really good, and he was really fast on his reaction, but he got only 1 out of 10. And he got 10 out of 10 on the 360 Hertz display. And even average guys or sales guys who don't really play games. They do their sales stuff. That happens. They even got hits on the 360 hertz, and of course none on the 60 hertz. It's really like, what's going on? But it's what is shown in the video before. You can only react to what you see. So it's 360 hertz. It's really an important part. And lowering the latency, it makes you a better gamer. And in the end, it's more fun to play, because it's if you drive cars, and I'm into cars, so I always make cars analogies. So if you have a sport car, which is really responsive, you enjoy it. It's fun to drive. If you have think of an old big American limousine which wobbles around and you drive to the countryside, it might be comfortable, but it's not really enjoyable to drive. So you need to have the right tools.
On a circuit, indeed, when you're trying to be fast, that might not be the best car to be in.
Yeah, and it's the experience, right? I mean, you want a good experience. That's why you spend so much money on your PC to play games. If you want a simple experience, you might go for a console. There's some good console games, so nothing against consoles, but PC gaming is another level. And it's also a hobby. You're enthusiastic about it. You want the best hardware. You want to optimize your system. A certain amount of games you only get on the PC. And you're doing all of that to have a great time. And pretty much this helps you having a better time. This is what it's all about.
Yeah. We had a comment in the chat saying quite well, like with Nvidia Reflex and the 360 Hz monitor, it's almost like legally cheating. I think that's an awesome summary. There are also quite a few people just on the side saying, you're explaining things quite well. They really understand what you're saying. So good to hear. I think just to clarify, right, if people want to benefit from Nvidia Reflex, they can already do this with the 900 series, right?
Yes, absolutely. 900 series and above.
So you don't need the newest of the newest to enjoy it.
Yeah. So we pretty much we have a nice marketing slide where we pretty much tell on the installed use base. There's still, you can say, half of our installed use base, when we have all the statistics and so on, is using or is playing on a 1060 and lower. And all of these GPUs pretty much we make a lot more competitive. And like I showed before, the slower your GPU is, the more you benefit from Reflex. Though on a 3080, you get a nice benefit from Reflex, but on a 1660, or even if you have a 1060 or a 900 series GPU still playing on that, it makes a huge difference.
3080, you should be pretty fast already, so you should not really be noticing or getting any bottlenecks from that. It's more optimizing. Of course, you can feel it. It's even more instant. It's much more pleasant, and you can play at higher settings. That's the other way. The other benefit, you can crank up stuff and have nicer gameplay. But just even when you have play on medium settings with an older GPU in a modern game, you're already fighting with frame rates. You're pretty much GPU bound all the time. And this is where Reflex really helps you. The game is getting more responsive. I'm not sure if you still have a chance against a guy with a 3080 and a 360 Hertz display, but it improves latency by half already. So, which is already a great achievement.
That's a lot.
Already improves your chances indeed. All right, cool.
Awesome.
And I just talk about the Reflex stuff because we say this display has Reflex.
Yes.
This is the Reflex Analyzer, right? And Nvidia Reflex itself, that works with the GPU, with the driver to optimize latency in general. And the Reflex Latency Analyzer, it fits into this whole picture that lets you measure the latency. Because one point is, okay, now I have a better latency. How much better is it, right? If you enable it in a game, you don't really know what you had before and what it is now. And the analyzer helps you to measure pretty much what the frame rate, what the latency is in a given game, in a given situation. And the next animation pretty much shows what that means on the Reflex.
So just to be clear, if you want to use Reflex, you don't require a special monitor for it. All you require is a 900 series or later Nvidia GPU and the ability and the latest drivers, obviously, and a game that supports it. That's, I think, one of the things you need. But in terms of a mouse or monitor, I think pretty much any mouse or monitor should be able to use it. even maybe a trackpad, although I'm not sure about that. But if you want to give that a try, then I guess you could do just for fun.
Judge.
But yeah, but for Latency Analyzer, indeed, this is what really presents the numbers on the screen in real time, so you can see what's going on, what is my real-time system latency, and then if you make changes, you can see the effect that it has, if it indeed reduces latency or not.
Yeah, so pretty much what we do is, since we do with G-Sync displays, we do our own scaler and our own module. That is a beauty. We can also put in new technologies that we like. And in this case, we pretty much put in the analyzer function. Some of you might have heard about LDAT, which is a tool we gave to editors, which is pretty much a camera that you put on top of your screen. And that allows you to do pretty much the same. You do some additional wires from your mouse to that camera, and then the camera detects a change in luminance, and then you can measure the whole latency with our software tools that we provide. But we put pretty much all of this into the display functionality, into the hardware, into the software. So with the OSD, with the on-screen display, you can then have this little square here that you can see over the muzzle, over your weapon.
Yeah.
And you plug in the mouse into the display. That is a port that was described earlier. Then your display is connected with USB to your PC again. And using then GeForce Experience, you can really display all of this, or even from the display OSD. It shows you what the latency is. And the advantage is really, I mean, it's a bit geeky, but it's a geeky display, and it's for esports professional, it's important because, like I said, there's a lot of factors that can influence your latency. You can see here, you have the mouse latency, 2 milliseconds, PC and display latency is 10.3, overall it's 12.3, but these 10.3 milliseconds, part of it is the driver, part of it is the game, part of it is Windows, and the settings in the game. And I mean, 12.3 is a very low, in this example, very low latency already.
Yeah,
but if you're more,
higher, right?
Yeah, if you're more in the 40s or in the 80s, and which is without reflex or any optimizations, or even higher, depending on the game, because every game is different in a base latency already, and that also depends on the settings. It could be that you're just using a render feature that just adds latency. It could be an anti-aliasing technique that is being used that you put on, and that just adds latency because the game needs to process the frame a bit longer or stuff like that. But you can never tell. I mean, there's, open up the game settings, it's a zillion of settings, and just by feel, to change something by feel, you will be busy with that. And the analyzer really helps you to just measure this. So you go into your game, you put it over the area where you want to, or if you have a game that's supporting the square that when you click the mouse, where you see the shoot, and you just put it over there all the time, then you have an instant repeatable result all the time. And so it's really beautiful to do that. And you will end up with a better gaming experience. It's up to you how you use it, but for me, when I play with these displays, I just check it out. What's the latency if everything is set the way it should be? So it's a really nice try. Or you can see, why am I losing here? And then you see, this game has a really high latency. And if you have already a high game latency, you need to aim ahead, no matter what you see. No matter what the frame rate is, if you already have a higher game latency. So that's another point where you aim your crosshair to. If you know this game has a higher latency, you already aim ahead.
Right.
Just because otherwise you won't hit it. And this is all these little tools. You can say, is it cheating? Well, not really. You just using all the hardware to optimize. It's like when a sportsman, a biker, optimizes his bicycle within the rules, so you don't break any rules. You just, on a PC, you just optimize your PC and your settings.
Yeah. Just a small question, Lars, because in the image we're seeing the animation, we see a little chip indeed, like a little PCB with something on it.
Yeah.
This is, and it says it's integrated in G-Sync, so it's part of the G-Sync module, or is it even separate?
It's part of the G-Sync module.
Okay.
It's in the latest, it's an option of the module, so it's a variation of the module. So you can still get, it's not all latest G-Sync displays use Reflex, the Reflex Analyzer functionality. It depends on the manufacturer, in this case, you, if you want to pick it or not. So it's additional technology that is put into the display, but it is available. So, and that's the beauty of the module. I mean, next to all the other technology that we introduced with G-Sync, I mean, people are always comparing adaptive sync displays with G-Sync and so on. And the beauty of having this module, doing it our own, is that we can develop our own. So we don't rely on a monitor manufacturer to build the scaler we want to. This is why Nvidia's first with 360 Hertz display. Nvidia was first with 1000 nits displays, and that goes on. And this is what we try with G-Sync. To raise the bar, we pick up panels that we think make a lot of sense, like the new IPS panels now. We optimize them. We work together with monitor manufacturers to bring the products to market. We test them internally, we optimize them internally, and we license them. So that also makes sure that there's not someone can just put a G-Sync badge on it and it's not good. We don't want that, because we want that if you buy a G-Sync display, it has to be a top-notch display.
Yeah, you need to know what you get for it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's other very good displays, don't get me wrong. And many manufacturers know what they're doing. And if they're good, we support them with G-Sync compatible. And you can use all the goodness that comes with that display and variable refresh rates and so on. But with G-Sync, we always do stuff on top. And as you can see here with the Latency Analyzer, no one does it. And it also needs to work in combination with your driver, with your GPU, with the software. And there would be no other way than doing it ourselves. And it's the Nvidia way of doing things. If nobody did it, we do it ourselves. We're not waiting for anyone to do it for us. Unless it's good, it's already there, then we use it, we work together. No brainer. But if it's not there, why wait, right? We want to improve the experience. And that's the way we work. And not everybody likes it.
Wow.
Because they say, oh, openness. Yeah, we can wait until someone does it and then jump on it, or we just do it ourselves and don't wait. That's more our philosophy.
So one more question, Lars, because I also noticed, just like there are only a certain amount of monitors that include this this module, like the our NXG253R monitor. So there are also only a handful of mice that are supported by this feature. Can you tell us exactly what makes the mouse compatible in this case? What requirements are there? And is it likely, for example, that, I don't know, is it like a firmware thing that can be eventually rolled out to most mice in the market so they would be compatible? Or will this remain sort of exclusive to certain mice?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the end, it's more like a wiring thing, because you need pretty much additional signals from the mouse click that the display can pretty much catch. So it's, in case of LDAT, it's pretty much what we did was in the external camera module, we soldered 2 cables to the mouse button, which just detects the click when the button is shortened. Then suddenly there's a current going through the cable from one cable to another, and this is detected, right? Pretty much when you click the mouse button. We want this to be instant, because if we have a driver in between, then you would already have that mouse latency just on click, and you couldn't measure the mouse latency. So the trick is pretty much it's a bit more than that, but think of it like in the USB cable, in the cable to the monitor, there's 2 additional contacts or cables pretty much that go into this port. This is why this port has to be this port, because it catches the current on those additional 2 pins, and then it can detect physically when it was clicked. And then it just transfers the rest over the external USB to the from the USB output from the display to your system. So what you want is pretty much an independent detector of your mouse click that is independent of your mouse driver. Because if you detect the click with your mouse driver, you already have that mouse latency, and you don't want that. So you also want to measure that mouse latency. So you need a physical contact.
Connection.
So in the end, the mouse has And when the button where the switch is connected inside the mouse, there it goes into 2 additional wires that go through the cable to the monitor, to that USB port on the monitor. Right. And this is how we can measure it. Okay. Otherwise, you couldn't do. And that's the modification.
Yes.
And then we work together when we know someone develops a mouse that works with Reflex Analyzer. We certify it, we test it, and then, okay, we have a website where you can find all of this, where all the displays are listed and all the mice are listed that supports it. And of course, all the games that I showed earlier that support Reflex. But again, you don't need that for the analyzer. No. It's a bit confusing, to be honest, because we say Reflex everything, because that's the ecosystem. Because Reflex, as the name suggests, we want to make your reflexes better. We want you to react better. And all of that tech is under this umbrella. Yeah. But one thing is the analyzer, where you need the special display for. And one thing is the latency optimization that goes for pretty much all GeForce users so far. And
you can actually test it later on as well. I think Ja will test it where you can actually turn Reflex off. So the latency optimizer, you can turn that off and then see in real time the latency, indeed, probably will increase. And then when you turn it on, or I think you have 2 different modes indeed, so you can even see the difference between that and see what happens when you actually enable the Reflex feature, so that not the analyzer, the latency feature. So you can actually see what happens and see the latency decrease.
Yeah. Yeah, no, really cool times. I mean, it's and that's the beauty of the
process. I guess we could classify ourselves as geeks indeed. If you like this kind of thing and indeed you want to see it in numbers or graphs or you like that kind of stuff, this is really cool because we never had anything like this before. Yeah. That's definitely true.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much. If you have any more questions.
Let me see if there's. I saw somebody say earlier. You said you like cars, and they were saying it's more on a personal note, but whatever. Lars seems more like a Porsche 911 kind of guy. Not sure if they're right. I'll leave that up to you. I had
an M2 just until recently that I take to the racetrack.
You actually go to the racetracks too.
Oh yeah. I love racing, and not going to track days, not driving races in the end.
Not competitively.
But I'm going now with a smaller car, a much funnier car, a Toyota GR Yaris, because I always wanted to have an all-wheel drive, really geeky car, and that car is just handheld special rally homologation. It's not the biggest in HP, but from the fun of it, I want to give it a try.
Yeah.
So a 911 is perfect, but
maybe too perfect.
Yeah, when you drive this thing on the limit, it gets really serious. I mean, you can get easily very fast, but I want to have fun on having cars on the limit and on a racetrack and having a 911 there. Getting to the limit, it's really fast, and you need to be really good with that. So so you can have a lot of fun on the limit with a slower car and enjoy that.
Yeah.
And even if you might be on the lap slower than a 911, you definitely have more fun. So it's all about hobby and what you want to do and optimize it. And once I can handle that perfectly, and then I can go to the next step. I mean, it's easy to go straight on an Autobahn and go fast, and that's not the thing. But with a 911, or like a GT3, I mean, it's super fast, but to drive it super fast, I mean, it's insane. When you see professional drivers on the racetrack with those cars, oh my God.
You really need to know what you're doing. But also, the faster you go, if you do make a mistake,
exactly. And the damage is even higher.
Exactly.
And it's a hobby, right? I'm not a pro racer. I'm just doing it for fun.
Exactly.
And most of the time, I don't have the time. With little kids and then a house now and everything. So going a little bit lower key, but with the GR Yaris, that is a really fun car and pretty limited. So looking forward to that.
Okay. With Nvidia Reflex, it might even be interesting for you guys to check out how you can improve the latency between the gas pedal and when the car actually gives power.
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, you can really tweak a lot of these stuff in your cars. I mean, on the M2, I changed the transmission software for the DCT. I put them from the M4 GTS. Put the different software on for just your gear transmission. and you can change. I mean, you can go crazy on that stuff, believe me.
Seems like it.
And yeah, so it's fun. Yeah, you need a hobby. If you make your work your hobby, which is PC and gaming, you need another hobby next to your hobby. Right? Just to get rid of, to stand up sometimes from your desk. Otherwise, you're always in front of your desk.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't see that many questions anymore.
Just maybe some of the last things from my side. You know, what I'm interested in is, you know, you guys have like a dedicated team, like there's researchers, esports stuff like that, right? So you come up with new kind of features that will benefit esports players. You know, I mean, esports games players. And you know, you guys also wrote out, you know, Esports Mode. It's like, can you like share some technicals behind the Esports Mode feature?
Yeah, I mean, you explained it earlier pretty well. So it's pretty much changing the backlight to optimize it even further, but it also changes the look of the image on screen. So you either like it or not. So it's a preset that we optimize with this Esports Mode to where we know to reduce latency, but not only to reduce latency, but also to reduce ghosting on the screen, because you still have the LED lights, and the faster it goes, especially on a 360 Hertz display, you have physical delay on the pixels that are being displayed. So by optimizing these settings, it's not necessarily reducing latency, but it's reducing, or it's optimizing the image that is being displayed, especially on fast-moving frames on your display. And you can give it a try. You can normally manually change these settings too in the display, but just having this mode already, we tested this, we measured this. It's what we think makes a lot of sense or helps, not in terms of image quality, but in terms of fastest response, no ghosting, and so on. But you can modify stuff by yourself as well in the menus if you want to. It's just about making it easier, because some say, okay, I'm using that, it's better, and don't want to spend hours just changing the settings in the OSD.
Right.
But you can. I mean, and we have a team in the US now. We have a dedicated esports product manager, Seth Schneider, in our headquarters. He also has a team working for him, and they also take feedback. I mean, Reflex was also developed on feedback from the community. When you think of, I mean, with the community always working with in-game frame rate limiters for a longer time, and then we think, okay, we have now, how can we improve this? What can we do? And so they are esports gamers. They talk to the community, and they are very geeky on all that stuff. And so they want to optimize it. And then they think, okay, what can we do? They then start talking to the driver team, say, okay, what can we do here? What is needed? Talking with our developer relations team, then to the game developers on what they could be doing. And for many of this, like the latency, many game developers were not able to measure their latency. This is why we enabled LDAT, once for press, but also for game developers, because you can measure it in software, what your game latency is, but to measure pretty much how long it takes to be displayed after the driver, they had no tool to do this. So we came up with these tools. And in the end, all of this developed now into a product, as a feature into the product of the Latency Analyzer that you have now in the G-Sync display. So it's really, all these tools are pretty much from internal usage. Then we work with game developers. What issues do they have? When we tell them, yeah, you need to improve your latency, it's too high. And then they, really?
Well, what does that mean? How do you know that? How do you know?
Show me. And it's because, I mean, they're developing a game. They are not testing every setting. They just can't do that. I mean, you have different CPUs, different motherboards, AMD, Intel, different RAM sizes, different GPUs, different resolutions, different in-game settings. Just come up with a matrix and you have already 300 different configurations. And it doesn't tell you what each configuration, what latency you have. I mean, they're developing the game. They are not QAing every different setting, but we do. So we have huge testing labs where we all do that stuff, so we can provide them that data and to optimize. But they also need to start optimizing by themselves to find a setting where, okay, here it's a very good average, and we start developing here. Then they can go into the game and doing development and optimize latency optimization. So I think all of this here helps the game developers to develop better games in terms of latency as well. And so it's a chicken and egg problem in the end. And this is why I said we just make it happen. If it's not there, we just develop it, try to develop it. It's not, we have a lot of internal stuff. Not all of it makes it into a product or to the public, but some of them do. If we see a big benefit, if we have a competitive advantage as well, of course we want to make our GPUs more attractive. There's no secret about that. We're selling GPUs. We want to have the best GPUs. We want to have the best features. And that's what we're trying to do all the time.
All right.
Yeah, makes sense. Great way to drive improvements.
Yeah, make it happen, right? That's basically what you do.
And we're great to have partners like you who are just getting excited and bringing those products to market, because in the end, we develop the tech, work with you together to bring it to market, but you do all the heavy lifting in the end. You develop the final product, you bring it out, you ship it, you sell it to the customers, and so we're really happy working on that with you guys.
It's a good partnership.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I think Dan for so far.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
An excellent talk.
Yeah. Also, I think indeed we need to get on, because I think a lot of people were asking in the stream, are you going to actually show the feature now?
We're going to show you guys.
So I think everybody's excited to actually see it in action. So let's do that. But Lars,
we're going to transform Lars' words into actions.
Yes. Thank you very much for explaining it. I think we had a lot of people complimenting you in the chat. Also complimenting you for being very, very passionate about it. So that helps, of course, to get people excited about things like this. But thank you very much for your time. We hope to see you again in a future stream. Who knows? And we'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, happy to.
All right, enjoy your evening,
Have a great show going on. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Lars. Goodbye. All right.
All right, guys. So by now, you guys should all be pretty much experts on Nvidia Reflex and Reflex Analyzer and Esports Mode. So. All right, that was awesome.
I think it's time for another giveaway or 2 or 3.
Yeah,
what do you think?
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Yeah, it's been a while, you know. Yeah. It's been a while. And normally we try to do it quite regularly throughout the stream, but of course with a segment like this, then you don't want to disturb the flow of knowledge there.
Too much passion.
Yeah, well, that's not. But again, it does help when somebody talks about this and is really passionate about it. You tend to, it's easier to listen to it, even though sometimes it's a bit technical. But yeah. Anyway, guys.
Lars, did a good job to explain this in a simple way.
And, yes.
Now let's see who we have for the winners of Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah.
And guys, remember this bad boy right here and right down here. It's still
up for grabs
to be won by you guys. So you still have.
All right. So guys, to make up for lost time, I'm going to draw not 1, not 2. But 3 winners at the same time.
You are breaking limits and records.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's got to do something. Anyway, so I hope to make 3 people very happy right now. You can still participate. We've still got more codes to give away. And like Ja said, at the end of the stream, a friggin' high-end gaming monitor. So, and a limited edition at that. So you can go to the address just over Ja's shoulder there, msi.com/2/insider. Or follow the link being spammed in the chat for YouTube and Twitch. And then you can participate directly on the Gleam platform is what we're using for the giveaway. And then in the back end, we will randomly select winners, based on the points. Every action you perform, put some points into your total, and the more points you have, the better your chance of winning, statistically speaking. And let's go to our first winner.
All right.
Our first winner's name is called Nox.
Congratulations,
Nox. You also win a Assassin's Creed Valhalla game code. I'll get that out to you as soon as possible. Our second winner is called Branislav. Congratulations to Branislav as well for winning a game code. And our last winner for right now, but again, we will have more winners later on this stream, is called Eddie, or Edi. I don't know, EDI, very short. 3 characters, EDI. So also congratulations on winning one of the Assassin's Creed Valhalla game codes. Again, we will send them out to you as soon as possible. You can still participate in the giveaway. We have more codes to give away and the monitor at the end of the stream. So don't miss out on that. And with that, I will hand it back to Ja.
Cool. Great stuff. All right. So since last week, we have actually started to test out a new way to well, make your guys' lives easier when it comes to viewing what we're doing. So I'm grabbing my mobile phone. That's not because I'm not interested in the live stream.
It's not like he's watching the live stream itself from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not bored. I'm just trying to show you guys what I see through my camera in my phone, instead of using a separate camera, as you can see here.
There we go. Yeah, so indeed, we are experimenting with something that allows us to use our phone cameras, which are usually much better quality than your typical webcam, to show things like close-up views, or and it also gives a lot more freedom because hey, they're wireless.
Yep. So what I'm trying to show you guys here is that, of course, we have the 5V joystick that I showed you earlier, but what happens when you actually use it? So here on the left side, you see there are like quite a few categories, gaming, the G-Sync processor. Here is also where you activate the Reflex Analyzer, but I'll show you in details, of course. But now just going over for some general details. Here you have some image specifications that you can change. Input, the navigation key will also determine which one will act. Basically, there are 4 macro keys, so each macro key will activate a specific setting. So here you can also choose which up, down, left, right will activate which feature.
Or get you into which menu straight away. For example, I think one of them is just straight away switching input sources, right?
Yep. Yep. And then the last one setting, which is just more general. Earlier there was somebody asking, well, what about anti-blue? Because that person would like to be more comfortable and protect its eyes, especially during nighttime. Here is where we'll find it and activate. The rest, they're basically all preset gaming profiles.
Can you activate it, Ja? Because I think now when you're using your phone, you should actually be able to see the effect, right?
Well, here it's now on anti-blue. Well, what it does is actually it just takes out the blue in the screen a little bit more.
Yes, so it's a bit warmer, less blue light basically, so that causes less strain for your eyes during, if it's darker in the room or during evenings, for example. This is more soothing for the eyes, less straining.
And when you go for like a different set of profiles, these are all predetermined. For FPS, we have like a different set of values than racing or some RPG games. So they each have their own, let's say characteristics. For example, what kind of color temperature, what kind of dark boost, sharpness. So you can test this out to see which one fits you better.
Indeed. I think even for FPS and for some of these profiles, it even has to do with the response time, right?
Yeah. All included. So you can test for yourself which one works better for you in what kind of situation.
Kevin Brian Rodriguez Sanchez, that's 4 names. I'm just going to call you Kevin. Kevin is asking, does this monitor have HDMI 2.1? I think so, right?
Actually, this one is sitting at 2.0.
All right, HDMI 2.0.
And for 1080p and 360, you don't need that yet. But going back to here, the settings. So besides the modes, we have more settings to go through. So here, the dark boost. This is similar to our night vision, in which it will actually, for example, if I take a look at this area, it's dark. So if I choose, for example, the strongest dark boost setting,
makes it less dark.
Exactly, but it doesn't affect the area that's already lit up or properly lit up. So it doesn't wash out the rest of the image. It just looks for dark areas and then tries to, make it lighter instead of just making everything lighter, So again, right now it's off. And then if you take a look at the dark area right here, I'm gonna put it to strongest. You'll see it would jump out to make this dark area lighter.
Listen Chu, where is the Nvidia G-Sync mode? Ja will get to that. So he will show you in the end how you enable it and then the different settings for the G-Sync settings. Also, I saw earlier in the stream, Ja, maybe you can show that later on in the Nvidia driver where you can enable Nvidia ultra low latency.
Yeah, no problem.
I think that's quite easy just to quickly show.
Yeah.
IMBox is asking 4K 360 Hertz when? Answer is quite simple. When the display output standards like HDMI and or display port can handle the amount of the bandwidth, because at the moment I think HDMI 2.1 and DisplayPort 1.4a are limited to 4K 120 Hz, 1440p 240 Hz. And I mean, I guess technically you might be able to go above 360 Hz for 1080p. I'm not 100% sure, but at the moment 360 Hz is the fastest that you can go even at 1080p. So yeah, the answer is pretty much when there are more higher bandwidth HDMI or DisplayPort versions available.
Okay, so continuing, we also have response time that you can tune here. You can show refresh rate on and off. On the corner right here, you see 360.
In real time, yeah.
So a lot of stuff you can do here, and Game Assistant I will also show you later in the game itself. What this does is that it will give you a on-screen display crosshair in case you're using a sniper, for example, where you don't have a crosshair. And this you can also use and quickly activate by just pressing left or right or up and down, depending on how you set up your settings. And with G-Sync processor here, this is really where you, for example, enable G-Sync Esports Mode that we all talked about, and Nvidia Reflex Analyzer. So these two pretty much the main settings that we have to go through. So here, if I use this, for example, you can see it already just tunes up the entire image, the monitor to its max brightness. And it will also optimize the latency and show you better dark values when it comes to gamma or black levels. And Reflex Analyzer, this is what you have to activate when you want to really see, you know, what are the settings and statistics in real time. So on and off, pretty simple. And what Lars also talked about largely regarding the rectangle, this is where I activate it. So you will have like a rectangle over the area where your muzzle flash is going to be. And this will then also in turn measure very accurately whenever there's a muzzle flash what the response time or the latency at that moment is. You can see here you have more options as to if you're left-handed, you can choose left-handed rectangle on the muzzle flash, or if it's like in a red dead center, the location. You can just use the joystick to move around, and also the size.
Hemant is asking, is this MSI Dragon Center? No, this is the built-in OSD for the monitor. So that's basically the menu of the monitor itself. When you press the button on the back of the monitor, the joystick, this is what you see. But this does have a lot of the same, if not all of the same functionality of the MSI Gaming OSD, which is specific software for our gaming monitors, which enables you to do all of this stuff from your Windows basically, and using your mouse instead of using the joystick if you don't want to.
Well, for that you just have to make sure that the monitor you're getting is compatible with Gaming OSD.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so here a lot more other options, but like we said before, if you go for a specific gaming profile, all of these options that you saw before, like dark boost, response time, and you know, peak brightness, contrast, color temperature, you know, etc., you name it, they will already be like automatically tuned for that specific feature preset. All right, so then some other stuff. Besides the OSD, I will then, after this, go into the game itself and show you guys more regarding what's about the whole analyzer stuff like that. So if you go to Nvidia, you go to like 3D
So this is the Nvidia control panel indeed.
Here in the global settings, or you prefer go to program specific settings, but let me just show you global for this purpose.
Yeah.
Don't mind this rectangle. This is for the Reflex Analyzer, but actually let me just put this off for now. There you go.
This is getting in the way. But yeah, there you can see in the middle, low latency mode. And that's, I don't know who it was, somebody was asking indeed, how do you enable null, so the Nvidia low latency mode, or ultra low latency. This is the thing. So you have two settings indeed, or three technically, off, on, or ultra. And these don't require game support. So this doesn't matter if the game supports it or not. You can always enable this if you have an Nvidia graphics card. And try it out to see if it works for you and if you notice a difference. So yeah, this is the setting. I think this has been here for a while already, but yeah, this is not Nvidia Reflex, to be sure, just to be clear.
Yeah,
indeed.
And like Lars mentioned, if you are making use of Reflex, the Reflex will also override this setting.
Yes.
So you will still get the best benefit, and you don't have to worry about that part.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it interfering. You can just leave the low latency on if that's what you're running. There's no need to turn it off. All right.
Okay. So let me put the camera down for now and dive into the game.
All right, I'm just gonna go to the capture of the desktop.
But actually, you know, before I get into the game, I want to show you guys some more visual representation of, for example, first to start with, like a little bit of a brief summary, but also a different kind of video showing a different kind of game when it comes to Reflex and what kind of actual real-life impact it has on your gameplay. So it's not just some fancy numbers and stuff like that, but it has like a real-world consequence.
That's the wrong one.
So here you have the video with Valorant, which is also what I'm going to display to you guys. You know, this is talking about the time it takes between the mouse click and the actual hit registration, right? So if you're, like many people are still playing on 60 Hz monitors, and you can see here with Reflex off and on what kind of difference there are. And if you're playing on a high refresh rate like this one, the NXG253R with 360 Hz, you have so much more benefit. I mean, if you just do the math here, it's like about 500% improvement. And you know, when it comes to real life impact, because that's what's really important, right? When you see your enemy and you click with your mouse, it takes about 61 milliseconds for your mouse click to be registered as a hit. But by then, on the first example, and the second one, you have already missed your shot because your reaction might be fast enough, but the system is just not fast enough to translate your reaction into a hit registration. So that's why it has a like real world consequence as to if you really want to push your limit and have more advantage, yeah, that's really what you're looking for. And you know, we also talked about peaker's advantage earlier, but now you can also see you know, what does it really mean. So the peaker usually has the advantage of having the faster reaction time on you. And what it looks like from here, like on the 60 Hz reflex off, it takes like 55 milliseconds to really have the enemy to be visible. But if you have like 360 Hz, you have reflex on, it's going to take about 4 times less for you to see the enemy. So you can, that also, you know, translate into a better reaction. So if you can see it sooner, of course, you can also react sooner, right? So you know, there's really not just you know, the numbers that really shows the difference, but really there is a real life difference, as you can see here. And even if you're like flick shotting, as this one shows, there's a lot more accuracy when it comes to a 360 Hz and with reflex on. So yeah, many benefits to be had here, and yeah, later I will also go into the game itself and, you know, to see just, you know, does it really improve my gameplay or reaction time or not, and, you know, have some fun with it.
I see a lot of people saying, and it is true indeed, what if you're just bad at aiming, then reflex means nothing. Yeah, it does still, you know, of course it all depends on how good you are in the game, and it's down to what you do with your hands, with your aiming and stuff like that. But I mean, the thing is that that's something hardware can't control. But what you can control is if you are trying to achieve the most responsive, the fastest response time, and you know, the most accurate, then something like this can help you to at least make sure that your hardware is not bottlenecking you in any way, or at least the least amount possible impacting your aim, so that it's purely you that has all the control over how accurate your shots are when you land them and how fast you can react. So this just gives you the opportunity. Of course, you still have to use it, but it gives you at least the opportunity and all the tools you need to, you know, have the first shot and the fastest reaction time. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah, you know, so nobody is saying, you know, this is like the magic pill that's going to make you a better player.
No.
You know, of course, it depends on yourself, but I think we have all been, well, it depends, of course, if you have been a esports player or not, esports games player or not, but, you know, me with CSGO or even Valorant, I've had so many cases in which, you know, somebody peeks me. I've been holding a steady situation or a steady angle in which I expect someone is going to pick me. But still, when that person actually peeks around the corner, I am dead before I'm even clicking my mouse. And in these kind of cases, you know, and if you have like a setup with 360 refresh monitor and reflex on, you're going to have a faster reaction time because you're going to see that person sooner than when you're using like a 60 Hertz monitor. You're going to have a better reaction time because you see him sooner, right? So then that's also going to limit just how fast you're going to die before you even click your mouse. And when you click your mouse, the latency is also shortened. So, you know, in this specific situation, which happens a lot, it also again proves that this kind of feature really will help you to, really improve the situation you're in at that moment. For me, I've noticed a lot that I just died before I even click my mouse, or when I click my mouse, he was still faster. You know, improvements, and really help you with this kind of advantages. So yeah, that's really having Reflex summed up and what kind of benefit it has. And when we're talking about 360 Hertz specifically, you know, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with 360 Hertz, if you have seen it in action, or and I think a lot of you are still playing on 60 Hertz. And what this really means is that if you take a look at the differences between, for example, 60, 144 and 360 Hertz, there is really like a noticeable difference. At 60 Hertz, it's really choppy. It's like the frames is just skipping. Of course, in real life, it's not like that. This is obviously slowed down, right? But this is to show you the differences more clearly. And when you go to 144 Hertz, you already see there's improvement. And when you go to 360, it just really looks like you don't really notice the frames being there. It's just like one smooth movement. And this then in real life also will translate into a much more smoother experience when you're looking around, moving around, when you see a moving enemy, and when you're like tracking the enemy with your aim, and when you're holding down the spray pattern. Everything that has to do with movement is going to, well, in this situation, give you a better time, because everything is more clear and easier to track with this kind of a refresh rate. Of course, your GPU will still need to push out close to 360 or even above 360 FPS, but with esports games, especially if you play with the settings, it's very, very easy to achieve. You don't even need the most expensive setup or the highest setup. With a good medium setup, you can already achieve these kind of frames. So yeah, the benefit is really just there for you to grab. And if you really want to up your esports game, if you want to get a higher rank or a better score against your enemy, you know, the possibility is there to help you. So yeah, that's for the frame rate and refresh rate. So if you guys have any question, of course, don't forget to drop me in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to dive into the game.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I see a lot of people just, maybe they joined the stream just recently and they're still asking about things like pricing, resolution, stuff like that. So, but you know, I think we covered that all. But yeah, basically it just comes down to the more smooth the movement, it also, again, you can only react to what you see. And if your image is somewhat choppy and basically your enemy teleports every frame that's being presented, it's a bit harder to anticipate where he's going to be in a few frames time to anticipate your shot. Whereas if your screen, if the animation is more fluent because of and more smooth because of the frame rate, it also becomes easier to be more accurate in terms of trying to anticipate the movement.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Okay, so I'll then show you step by step like how you can set this up. So really Nvidia Reflex Analyzer, and then we'll go into the game to show you how you can activate Reflex in the game itself. Now, of course, for this analyzer process to work, you also need a gaming mouse that's well compatible with
Certified, yes.
Certified for Nvidia Reflex Analyzer. So of course we also have our Clutch GM41, and
there it is.
It's right here. It's very lightweight and it has braided cord, and I think Peter can tell you all details if you want to know about it. But this
tailor-made for FPS gamers, competitive FPS
Esports
gamers,
mouse.
indeed. So it's lightweight, which means that there's almost no inertia. You can just move it like it's your own hand. You almost don't notice any weight of the mouse. So yeah, and it glides like crazy. It's very smooth on a mouse, any mouse surface. It's got a very high-end optical sensor, which means it's very precise, and also it doesn't care how fast you throw it around on the mouse pad. It will keep up with your movement, and also very precise. Indeed, the hand size, you can see, it's
I have quite an average hand.
Yeah, it's got a symmetrical shape as well, so it's not right-handed. So this means it should be more more user-friendly for most people. Yeah, and all in all, it's a really great mouse and a really good value as well. So if you want to know more about it, we did a live stream about this, also covering this and in detail things about like angle snapping, or things that less good mouse sensors have, at least less good for gaming and esports. So if you want to check that, you can, after the stream, you can check out our GM41 lightweight stream where we covered all that.
I think you even tore it apart, right, in that live stream?
Yeah. We even did a teardown of a damn gaming mouse, and as you can see that in that stream, as you will see, that there's actually not that much in there, as in that it's lightweight because there's not a hell of a lot in there. Everything is minimized and optimized for lightweight usage and esports compatible gameplay.
All right, so going back to my screen capture, I just showed you guys before with my camera how you can activate this from the OSD point of view, right? You just go to Nvidia and then go to Analyzer, you click on, that's it. So that's the first step. You activate this from the monitor side, and then you go to Nvidia, and then you have to go to GeForce Experience. Now, before you can actually show the setting, you have to make sure that if you go to your general settings, and then you gotta check enable experimental feature. So after this, there's going to be a new setup, new section when it comes to the overlay, which is performance. So in performance,
can you, by the way, click that people see your mouse
yeah, which I'll let them see
indeed?
my mouse. Yeah. There we go. So, and then you go to in-game overlay. Here, there's the performance where you have to go to. And here it already shows like a preset of all the performance, the main stats. But where you have to go to is the overlay setting. Here, you'll see right now I have it on off. And then I can show you how you can activate this. First of all, you can choose the position. Do you want to show the statistics on the left upper corner, the right upper corner, the right lower, left lower, up to you. But for the purpose of demonstration for this live stream, because due to various reasons that we don't block certain information and stuff like that, and also in the game where it's like the most visible, I'm going to choose left down corner. And then you gotta make sure you click on latency. So after that, you can just go back and you're pretty much set. And then you have to remember that if you want to activate or deactivate, you have to remember Alt-R as the hotkey. to activate the on-screen stats display.
The overlay. Yeah.
Overlay. So you have enabled this in the Esports experience settings.
It is already there, by the way, in the bottom left corner.
Yeah,
as you can
but
see.
later it's going to be much more. So you can't really click on it because it's an overlay. You have set up this from the OSD's point of view. So after this, you're pretty much good to go into the game.
Craigie Gaming, I'm not sure if the Logitech G502 Proteus is compatible with this. There is a list if you go to Nvidia's website, or if you search for it, the Reflex Latency Analyzer. And they have a list of monitors and mice that are compatible with this. So there you should be able to find it. Ooh. I see you were testing earlier.
Yes, I did. All right, just checking the settings.
I don't know if this is clear enough for you guys, but you can see on the bottom that right here in the menu, he's getting like 700 FPS, 650, 700. Indeed. And then this is Valorant, of course, so in the menu you can find the option.
Going to the settings of Valorant here.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll turn off the rectangle until I'm actually in the display, the gameplay. All right. So here in video, you go to General, all the way down there. There's the Nvidia Reflex Low Latency. So this is where you turn it on or off or on boost. So like Lars already explained to you guys, boost, it will actually tune your GPU a little bit higher, so you can get a little bit more frames out of it also. So I think we just go, instead of we'll go to boost.
Yeah, or maybe just start with the baseline, start with off. And then, because you can see on the screen later on what the latency is. And so you can see in real time as Ja then changes the setting in the menu, what effect that has. So how much it actually decreases the latency in the game.
Okay, wait. Let me first of all test, because I think I might have to go back to Nvidia to check a few more settings, because this list should be like a lot bigger.
I think you only enabled latency, but I think you can select more. Maybe, oh no, I think with Alt-R you can only toggle it on or off.
But let me see if this changes if I go into the game itself. But it shouldn't be, because when I tested this before, it was already automatic.
I think you can just Alt-Tab out for now. Don't Alt-F4 out, just Alt-Tab. And then go into the Nvidia menu. Oh, you still have it open, bottom.
Okay, let me.
Oh yeah.
So this is enabled. Go to here. We'll go to performance, and here we'll go to performance status indicator. Performance.
Yeah, what if you click more performance? So latency is enabled. What if you click FPS?
Advanced.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so yeah, latency, it would just show a summary of the latencies, but if you go to advanced, that's where I had to go.
You get more system information.
You get more of the statistics, but we're looking for latency, and this one should be showing much more than what it's showing right now. Because advanced, they will also go into all the unnecessary stuff that we're not looking for right now, GPU power and stuff like that. So we're trying to go to latency.
What if you select basic? What does that say?
It's pretty much the same.
There's some latency there. What does it say?
It's the same stuff, but it will include some CPU utilization and GPU utilization, not the advanced latency that I'm looking for.
Did you enable the latency feature, the Reflex Analyzer, in the monitor? Yeah, I guess you did.
Yeah, I did. It showed up earlier. Maybe it's a small bug. Because it wasn't here. Nope, it was here. Latency. And let me go back. Tuning, enable automatic. Reset.
Are you testing in a live match? Not nice. No, I think the match actually didn't go ahead.
No, it was unrated.
Still, doesn't matter.
Maybe the settings got a little bit messed up when I plugged in and off all the cables and power. So I have to redo that. I have a 2 minutes and 42 seconds.
Because you didn't select the hero, I think. You didn't select the character. But you can always go into practice or...
It's a Q penalty.
Yeah. I mean, to test it, you can use practice, which is single player. You're not really bothering other players trying to actually play the game.
Less wrecking.
Maybe it also does this because you have Reflex disabled in the game, right? I'm not sure if that will change anything.
Matter because when I tried this before, it wasn't like this. A video.
General. Yeah, there we go.
Go to here.
Yeah, no, that didn't. Somebody's saying go to custom mode.
I think we can help this by simply just restarting the PC.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Always helps.
Oh god. Alright. That does mean that we are going to lose the connection to Jazz PC for a second. So what we can do then is, of course, another giveaway. What do you think?
All right. I like that.
Let's make the best out of this situation, guys. All right, I'm gonna draw 2 winners, in fact. And you can still participate. Like the grand prize is still up for grabs. It's the limited edition monitor, which is coming up at the end of the stream. In the meantime, you can still participate. Go to msi.com/2/insider and participate in the giveaway, or click the link that's being shared in the chat every couple of minutes. We already have a lot of people participating, so that's really nice. And for now, we are giving away some really nice game codes. And let's see, I'm going to select another winner. So for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the game. And let's see if we can make some people very happy. The winners are being drawn by our system. It's completely random. So we have 2 winners here. One is called Alien Nerd. One word.
Sounds
Alien
good.
Nerd. Congratulations on winning Assassin's Creed Valhalla game code. And another winner is called D. Stefanov. Also, congratulations. We'll get the code out to you guys as soon as possible after the stream. And let's see if Ja has managed to get the system working. There we go.
All right, see, it works now. Just needed a restart.
A nice, good reboot.
See you guys.
Well, the old adage and the meme of "Have you tried turning it off and on again?" is...
Yeah, you know, this kind of stuff happens when you when you play around with the settings with the PC. You have unplugged stuff and stuff like that.
Ripping out cables randomly. Don't do that. Not when it's running, anyway.
Let me put on the screen recorder again so you can see. All right, should have connection now.
Oh, I was actually already thinking you were in there. I'm not seeing anything yet.
Maybe we have to turn it on and off or re-add it.
Maybe. Let's give that a try. Remove. Just gonna add it again. There we go.
The more you know, guys.
The more you know, the less you can know. I don't know. I don't really see anything. Can you enable or disable the mouse capture? Because sometimes that can the mouse cursor capture. Sometimes that can help.
Yeah, just did it.
Unfortunately, I'm not seeing anything. Well, it's a static image. It's like the last frame that was captured before the PC shut off. Well, Jai, I don't see any other way. You're just going to have to hold your phone with one hand and then play with the other.
Yeah, it always works.
Well, you know.
Let me do this again to
If
see if
you
it
go
works.
in the training room, that might actually work. I mean, it's not ideal, but... All right, guys, experiencing a small technical difficulties, but
you know, one of the beauties of a live stream.
Yeah, it's always, that's the thing. You can test these things like infinite number of times, but when it comes time to be live and actually it needs to work without a hitch, that's when shit happens. And yeah, just gonna have to solve it while we, as we go.
Do we have connection now?
Let's give it a go.
Yay,
Hey,
we're back.
That's look more like it. There we go.
You know, what's the fun of a perfect live stream without struggles, right?
Nah, you need some some issues during the live stream to appreciate when things do go smoothly.
All right, let me dive back into the game. So right now on the left down corner, you see. Maybe Peter can also find a way to maybe copy paste this to make it bigger.
Oh yeah, sorry. Actually, I disabled that earlier because.
Yeah, there we go. So you can see, first of all, it will display your FPS, GPU, and render latency. Well, the GPU utilization here is not that important because we're looking at latency. We see the render latency. You know, we also told you guys before, right? You have the render latency, you have the latency from your mouse, you have the display latency and stuff like that. So everything here is displayed. You have the mouse, and the average. You have the PC and display latency, and then you have the average, and then you have your system, the entire system latency, and also the average of that. Okay, let me go into the game. So right now you can already see it's tracking in real time what the latency is, etc. And first of all, let me just make sure this one is off so we can see some results. So again, you just go to settings, you go to video, scroll all the way down on the video in general, and then Nvidia Reflex. Right now it's off. So let's see.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see. You have a render latency, you have the mouse latency, you have the average mouse latency, you have average PC plus display latency, you have system latency, which is at the moment not available.
Buy some big boys guns. Okay, so let me set up the rectangle to its right place. Oh, wait. Rectangle location.
Getting wrecked, tangled. Good one.
All right. So let's go. I'm just gonna play around a little bit, and then it will calculate like the average for now. But you guys can also pay attention to the real-time differences.
Disclaimer, guys: this doesn't automatically make Ja a pro player. Just adding these.
And just so you know, I actually have no idea how to control the recoil on Valorant, so I'm just going off purely on my instinct.
Wait, you're not a pro Valorant player?
No comments.
Yeah, that's a no.
All right, so Well, what do we have here for now? We have mouse latency setting at 4.3, average mouse 4.4, PC display latency, right now I'm not clicking anything, so we'll recalculate, so about 20, average about 92, so 93 rounded off, system about 23 I believe it was, and average 97.5.
And what kind of system are you currently using?
Yeah, right now I'm running at 10900K and 3080.
So not really a low-end system.
Nope. And if you paid attention to what Lars said earlier, if you have like an older GPU, like a 1060, 1660, or even a 900 series, you will get much more benefit out of the latency, because there is going to be much more GPU bound, and it will help you with the improvement of latency. And here, because we already have such a headroom with the GPU, it's going to help you less, but it's still going to improve nonetheless. Alright, I think I can now switch back to having, so let me go over this again. So average 4.8, average 14, let's say 15, 5, 15, and 20. 5, 15, 20, which is actually already pretty darn low.
So this is deathmatch?
Yeah.
Ah, okay, some people were commenting that you are not really getting 360 FPS, which is true. I mean, 240 right now, and earlier it was well, low 200s. But they were also saying that FPS in deathmatch is quite a bit limited. I'm also not sure if you are running all the settings, the graphic settings at the highest settings. It's quite possible. The game will probably pre-select that because you got a 3080 in there.
Actually, I think I tuned the settings to a bit lower again to have some more FPS.
Yeah, but the GPU utilization is only at like 40%, so you're really not using that much of the GPU.
Yeah. So I'm watching a video. So here you can see, yeah, pretty much already tuned it down quite a lot. But yeah, that's deathmatch. So I think I just saw the system latency spike to 180 just now, so the average is going up a little bit. So 5, 21, 26. Now let's see if I get on with this one. Play around a little bit. Any Valorant friends out there? So I'm actually thinking about getting into this game seriously with my friends, just, you know, to get a break from Call of Duty, right?
Yeah, you've been playing Call of Duty that much?
Yeah.
Try performance mode is what they're saying. Competitive settings. Huh. So, what setting are you currently using for the Reflex?
Do you want to see the settings?
No, in the game, the Reflex setting. Have you?
It's on boost.
On plus boost.
Yes.
All right.
So here, on plus boost.
And how much of a difference did you see? Sorry, I wasn't paying that much attention.
Right now it's not showing that much yet, but it's also like our Lars indicated, right, on this 3080.
It's not GPU limited, right? So that's the thing. You want settings where you are more GPU limited, and there you will have more of a benefit. That's what he said.
So let me.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the GPU should be able to handle that just fine. But even though you've just enabled all those settings, the GPU utilization has, I think, actually gone down. I could be wrong about that.
It's a weird world. Very weird.
I think it may have, I think Lars also described this, it may have increased the overall latency a bit more because the game simply has to render more things like more anti-aliasing and things like that. So just by enabling those settings, I think that may have increased the latency, the rendering latency a little bit by itself. But not much overall, if I'm not mistaken.
No, because you know, I need to restart the game to have a fresh average, because right now I see, for example, the single measures for mouse, it's more or less the same. It's around 5 PC and display. It's around 11.5 because that one is actually lower.
Yeah.
It was around 15 before, and for the system latency, it's shuffling between like 15 and 29. So let me just.
Yeah, I also don't know how long ago. I mean, the average. You know, if it does calculations based on when you started the overlay, or if it just goes back I don't know, like 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes. I don't know. Valorant is CPU bound, that's why. Yeah, I mean most GPU game, competitive games are. CS:GO is also more of a CPU. I mean, at some point, when you get into the FPS where the GPU really isn't working that hard, it's mostly the CPU with all the draw calls and stuff that can't keep up. That's why I guess we're all waiting for things like RTX IO, which hopefully can help to circumvent the possible CPU bottleneck in those kinds of scenarios. Now play Crysis with this monitor. Oh.
And we're back.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what if indeed the CPU, which to be fair isn't a lightweight CPU in any stretch of the imagination, if indeed at this point you are limited and bound by CPU limitations, or if there's something else messing with it. Because you would think, indeed, with especially with the GPU utilization that you're having in the game. I mean, in the menu, it's actually working harder than in the game.
Yeah.
That's that. Well, to be fair, you're also now getting much higher FPS. But yeah, you would expect that in the game you would be able to get a bit more FPS out of it. But yeah, this could be that it's indeed. Can you try something else instead of what is it? Instead of deathmatch?
Yeah, I'm trying, but I'm right now locked into this. But we actually already see some results, because before I restarted, the average already went up to like around 80-ish for PC and display, and average for system latency was around also 80. And right now, with a fresh average, we have already gone down to 46 for average PC and display instead of 80. And average system latency gone down to 51.5 from around 80-ish also. Mouse latency was already extremely low, so that's why this one is more or less still the same, around 5 and 5.5.
Yeah, but this is pretty much standard when you have 1000 Hertz polling rate and a mouse overhead with the USB header and everything like that. So indeed, I think this is one of the quite a low latency already in terms of the mouse latency, 5 milliseconds.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, then again, right now we're sitting on and boost for Reflex, and we have already seen a big jump on average compared to before, which is more or less almost half.
Yeah, before it was more in the 90s, right? The average total system latency.
Yeah. Okay, let me see.
I don't know, just go into practice for now. I mean, just at the bottom, yeah.
So let's.
Because that's just, you know, a setting without other players at the moment. It's purely just for testing, also not really bothering other players because you're looking and testing some things.
Actually, the more you play it, the more you think like, okay, it's like I'm playing CS:GO, but the graphics just look so funny.
There you go. You're just
so you
getting
feel
almost
really at home.
500 FPS just now. There we go. around the high 400s. So now you see GPU utilization is a bit higher, but it's just over half. It's barely breaking 60%. And now you can see that the average system latency indeed is like just over 40 milliseconds.
Yeah, and this is compared to 80 from before.
Yeah.
From
so indeed, pretty much cut it in half.
And at the same time, if you're playing these kind of games and you have a sniper, like... you are gonna try to do some flick shots. Let me change back to this one. Oh, too late. But you know, this all helps when you have like a fast refresh display and the lower latency. Your flicks are going to register much better. Doesn't take away that.
Well, you have like an animation indeed with zooming in that you need to take into account here.
So what are we sitting at right now? Because our FPS increased quite a lot. Our average have gone down from PC display from around 80ish to 23.8. System average from also around 80 to 28.6.
There you go.
Actually, our mouse latency also has gone down from 5 to 4, so that's like about 25% decrease.
Yeah.
And we're only getting started, guys. So
Mark is asking which one of us is going to take the NXG253R home later. I think Ja has dibs on it.
You're speaking to him right now?
Yeah, I think Ja has dibs on it, but we'll see. John Ford is asking, is FreeSync on? I think you mean G-Sync.
Wrong live stream, buddy.
Yeah, wrong brand. Though FreeSync is also okay, but yeah, this one is all about the G-Sync with 360 Hertz G-Sync support. I think, Ja, I don't know if you can show it, but I think it's on. Although, I'm not sure, because then wouldn't it be limited to 360 Hertz / FPS?
Yeah. Wait, I was just paying attention to the system latency. Yeah. And it's actually even going down more now that we're getting longer into the game. Well, it makes sense because the average is, of course, an average. So the longer it decreases, the more result you will see here. We have gone down to 13 respectively for average PC and display, and 18 for average system latency, and that's a pretty big jump. Yeah. But also plays into what we said earlier. So if your refresh rate is high and your FPS is keeping up, so you will also have a less latency because you're getting so much frames per second.
Can you try to enable G-Sync? I think that was the question.
Yeah, sure, we can go for G-Sync. Gotta be very quick.
I think some people were asking before as well how you enable G-Sync and how you control it indeed. So it's in the Nvidia control panel. There you can select it. Yeah, we don't see any, okay. I was going to say, we don't see the OSD at the moment, obviously.
The control panel is having a difficult time.
No, it's already open there on the bottom left. Or it's still open there, but I'm not sure if you can...
No, this is not the control panel.
It is. No, I mean the icon in your taskbar. No,
that's GeForce, and here we go.
Yes, that one.
Right,
so that's probably why it wasn't showing, because it was already open.
Indeed. Okay. So yeah, first simple, set up G-Sync. So here, for null, you go to 3D settings, and for G-Sync, it's right on the display. You go to G-Sync,
its own
and
menu
it's
item.
already enabled. So
yes.
that's pretty much
G-Sync compatible, right?
Yeah, it's also G-Sync compatible.
Right.
So it's G-Sync and G-Sync compatible.
Okay.
So that's all you have to do. It was already on.
Yes.
So yeah, guys, I think I would really recommend you guys to just try this out for yourself to see if this will really, enhance your reaction time and your reflex, and hit more crucial shots where, as before, you didn't necessarily have the tools that will help you with it. And yeah, I think also with our real life test, we have also shown that on average, there was quite a big leap from going from around 80-ish to even below sub 20 for average PC and display, and also your system in general. So yeah, it's quite a big difference as to on or off, especially compared to, paired with 360 Hertz, that's really where you get the optimal results when it comes to latency that will really help you to get a more advantage, advantage over your enemy in CSGO, Valorant, Rainbow Six Siege, you name it, right? And okay, so if you have any last questions, post them in the chat. Otherwise, I think we're going to draw the winner for today's special limited edition gaming monitor giveaway. In the meantime, while Peter is drawing the winner, I will also tell you guys what you can expect next week. So next week, we're actually going to do something different than what we usually do, because you might come across something very unexpected from what we haven't actually done before, which is not really, 360 Hertz and, top-notch gaming performance. It's actually going to be about how you can have the perfect setup working from home.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, Lars was demonstrating it as well. We also work from home these days a lot. Yep. I think a lot of people in the past year have learned to do this, even if they weren't used to doing it. But a lot of people have had to get used to this and build their own home setting. And so there's indeed a stream next week about how to make that a bit easier for you using MSI, how MSI can make your life easier if you're working from home as well. A little tip, of course, maybe you guys didn't know, but a very powerful gaming PC can also do office work. Just saying.
Indeed. So yeah, you're gonna see some unexpected products from us next week, but it's going to be quite interesting, so really gotta make sure to tune in next week. And I believe we had a winner for today's monitor giveaway, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, it seems like it's
you want to say it?
Mr. Well, not Mr., but it's Masterdox. Congratulations.
Can you grab the monitor up on the table? Just put it on the table.
Lucky bastard.
Grab it. So you get the free fingerprints of Ja on it.
Yep, I'm going to clean this all the way, of course.
Yes.
So, you're going to have an excellent time with the NXG253R QRF and the quantum dot version especially.
Congratulations.
And with the ones at 65 Hertz and 1 millisecond response time and the excellent rapid Ips Panel, it's one of our top performers and you're gonna get it.
I'm sure you will have a freaking good time with it, because to be honest, I've also tested and seen a lot of monitors here in my time since 2016, since we started making them, and I mean this is one of the best combinations of very rapid response, so great for competitive gaming, and the colors, they're just wow, they'll blow you away, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, congratulations. I'm sure you're looking forward to that one. I see him in the chat now as well.
All right. Yeah, I'm actually really jealous, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah. You're not taking that one home, Ja. Sorry.
Yeah. All right then.
All right. I also saw some people indeed help check the loyalty bonus. I'll be sure to do that, although I have to say in the system I did see that some people did win awards using the loyalty bonus during this stream, but because so many of you have reported that there's some issue with it, I'll definitely dive into it. So yeah, hopefully next stream it will be fixed if there's indeed anything wrong with it, but we'll help to check it. For now, thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, hope you had a good time and learned a lot.
Yeah, we'll hope to see you next week, and we'll have more giveaways next week as always.
Of course.
So see you guys next week.
Ciao, guys. Have a good day.
Bye bye.